allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, now it's time for Beth. Step around. Oh, there you are.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes,
Okay, I didn't make it to Peaburg. We've got a lot of cases going on, so I didn't quite make it to Peaburg for today's meeting. In Granite County, there are 27 COVID cases. The courthouse will have a flu clinic on October 13th from 1 to 3. And I believe at that flu clinic, people can also get their COVID vaccines. The positivity rate for Granite County is at 33.3%. So it's 33% of all the tests that's been happening. The FEP report is due next Friday, the 15th. It's almost done. I'm pretty excited to submit that. As you guys know, Pfizer was approved for the booster. If you're 65 and older, or if you have other conditions, you can get the Pfizer. It is not recommended to be mixing if you've gotten the Moderna or the Johnson & Johnson. So if you've gotten the Pfizer, you can get the third one. It has to be 6 months past the second shot that you have received. At this time, Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, there is no booster shot at this time. And let me see, I wrote down some quick little notes here. Moderna is, you can get the Moderna for immune compromise. It's called the third dose, not the booster. So if you are immune compromised, you can go to the public health or the hospital and get your third dose Moderna. And that's about my report for this week, guys.
What was she saying about that Pfizer?
Yeah, I can barely hear.
it was approved for a booster. Pfizer was.
Yes, Pfizer was approved. Yes, Pfizer was approved for the booster, and you have to wait 6 months from your second shot of your Pfizer to get it.
I think most people around here was Moderna, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At CBS in Anaconda, they do Pfizer.
Yes. And that's all I got for you this week, guys.
Okay, sounds good, thanks. Guess we'll move into the health board and not many of us here.
Lisa Stuba sent me an email yesterday afternoon with her resignation from the health board. So I have her resignation from the health board. I also added it to your correspondence for today.
You may want to do a motion to accept that and then also potentially notice it in the paper. For
So what was her reason?
She didn't give a reason. She wrote, please pass on to the board that I have resigned effective 10/4/21. I'm still happy to write an article for the website about COVID if you are still interested. After our meeting a couple weeks ago, I tested positive for COVID and haven't been able to dedicate time to it. However, I better know firsthand what to write now. Thank you, Lisa.
I make a motion, we accept her resignation.
Second.
All in favor? Mike Largic, board chairman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Health board business concluded. I think that you guys can, as far as the health board is concerned, we'll conclude and you guys can do a vote about the business of the county.
Do you want a motion to advertise the position or?
I suppose we should have a motion where the other health board position should be open to public, have it placed in Phillipsburg Vale.
No, I can't motion.
I'll second it.
On favor?
Or maybe do public comment.
Anyone have any comment?
Elena Digliano.
Go ahead, Elena.
Thank you. I just want to say for the record, I don't know who's talking. I don't see who's talking, and I can't hear anybody that's there who's talking. And again, no introductions at all. That
do
letter,
apologize.
I understand that letter. I could barely hear. I heard something, it was a resignation. I don't know whose. So if this is the new Zoom way we're gonna do things, it's bad. Your elected officials, I only see Blanche. Thank you, Blanche. I can hear you very well, but I can't hear anybody else.
I just like to say, I can barely hear myself.
I don't know if that's working,
I don't think it is.
because when we had to use this one last week, we couldn't hear you either,
Yeah,
because yours is a better microphone. or
We can
better-
switch back. We tested it on mine. We will test it.
Potentially you could restate what what
Yeah.
that letter said in the promotion.
Do you want a mic?
And then I'll switch it around after this.
This is Michael Arctic. Can you hear me now, Elena?
Yes, now I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay,
And here's just a suggestion, the rest of you, you can show pictures of who you are.
Trying to talk. This is a problem. He's trying to introduce himself and explain what
He
he.
asked me a question, excuse me, and I answered him.
Elena,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Elena, this is Michael Arctic again. Lisa, one of the health board chair, persons, did put in a resignation, effective 10/20.
10-4.
10-4. We did make a motion and it was approved that we accept her resignation. We also put forth a motion that we advertise her position in Phillipsburg Mail. Did you get that?
Oh, yeah.
Elena?
I'm sorry, yes, I did get it. I couldn't answer because I'm being muted every time you speak. So, and I want to thank you for speaking, Mike. I can hear you now.
There was a motion that we did put that we will be placing her position in the Phillipsburg Mail. I don't know what, Billy said that she would be doing that. And I guess she'll be doing it at the best time she can. Other than that, most of the health board information was concluded after I believe Jennifer gave her status of the Phillipsburg or Granite County health status as far as COVID is concerned.
Was there a vote? Was there a vote? I think
There
we
was a
still-
vote. We did
Yeah, we all said aye
we did
on
have
something.
a voice vote to
Okay,
approve
all
that.
right.
Other than that, the health board portion was concluded, as far as I understand, correct?
Did we vote on putting it in paper?
Yes, we did.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay.
Can we check? Did you hear, is Elena still on?
I think the computer.
Can you hear us now, Elena? All of us?
Yes, I can hear you, Blanche. I don't hear, and I guess it was Blaine. I don't hear him too well. If you're on the Zoom, I can hear you fine. But if you're not using the Zoom, I can't hear you. None of us can hear you.
We got an attachment that is supposed to bump up the volume for the Zoom so that you can hear everybody.
Well, you see, if you're watching whoever's talking, the box is highlighted. And so everybody else can mute and you won't have a problem. But as it stands now, Blanche, you're the only one that is on Zoom. I'm sorry, you know, do it your way. All you're doing, you're interfering with transparency. This is not to you, Blanche. This is not transparency. That I have to be muted every time you think I'm finished saying something and then somebody asks me a question and I have to be unmuted. Go
Really?
ahead, thank you.
Can we put it back on his and try to figure out this, because it's not
Yeah.
working?
As soon as you guys were gonna wrap up the health board, I would
Okay.
go off, I was gonna adjust all that.
Okay, we'll try to fix that, Elena. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to adjourn the health. Board. There's nothing else.
Second.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't forget all in favor.
Is the next one in 2 weeks then?
Yes, if you guys can.
Do I make a motion that the health board be adjourned at the regular scheduled 2-week interval?
That's my motion.
Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
hi.
We'll adjourn for 2 weeks.
Thanks.
You betcha. You guys take care. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. I'm cool now. I'm okay. I'm okay, Chuck.
Thanks for your updates on this.
Don't be mad at me.
So we're back to normal? Okay, we're back on with Paul Alt with the road and solid waste, and we're talking about poop in a dump.
So a few weeks ago, we had somebody come in with several bags and one of them opened up and when they hauled it to Missoula, it had 100, 150, 200 needles in it. And we just can't keep having that. And then last week we had another person come up with bags of human waste and we know who they were too. And I just think we need something on the website saying that if you're caught with that, you just can't dump here anymore. I mean, there's got to be some kind of a,
I thought we were gonna put signs up that he wasn't gonna get. left.
well, I believe, did you put something on the internet yet or working on it?
There's something on the website that says that, let me find what it says.
But I mean, I thought we were gonna put signs up right at the dump.
We're gonna get something made, but there's gotta be some kind of a
Yeah.
repercussion for this.
I
Well,
let
who
the
would do
sheriff's
that?
office know too.
Well, I know one guy that lives up Red Lion was doing it.
He's-
Oh,
I let the sheriff's office know and I'll prosecute that and that, yeah, that's.
On the website, it says both sides do not accept human waste or syringes under any circumstances.
but
So
I'm
we
just-
know who's doing it?
we do, and the sheriff, I've notified him already, and he's made one wrong. And I'll call him and give him the other guy's name that's doing it. From Red Lion, I mean, we just can't have this,
I guess not.
No.
you know, but there's gotta be some kind of, you know, if you're caught doing that. Gotta be a ticket or something, or this, you can't dump here anymore or something. I don't know.
One warning and they're done, but they should also be, yeah,
I
charged.
don't think we can dare give them another warning. They should know.
Yeah, they've already had it.
Get the signs up.
Well, maybe we should put it on the website, there's some kind of a fine if you're caught doing it.
We'll be prosecuted, we'll be prosecuted, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we got that taken care of.
Kind of a shitty deal, but. we got-
Man, who thinks stuff
Did
like
you ever get
that?
the cattle guard out in Gulfport?
No, he's fixing it Monday, he's off, or Tuesday, he's off this week, antelope hunting. And he's scheduled to do it next Tuesday. So. Then it's time again, I don't know if you see it in the paper for keeping the guys on 410s, weather permitting, like we do. We need to get that approved too, because that goes into effect next Friday, would be their last regular 410 day. So
that draft agreement, you guys see that?
It's right here. I didn't-
Oh,
Yes, that's the one that you sent me last night or this morning.
it was just a proposed draft, commission decision.
So you wanna do that next week then, or
might as
oh,
well
when
now.
did it go on? Oh, okay,
I'd like to get it done now so that it's. Otherwise we have a lapse and we don't want to do that. Same as it was last year, just a different date.
all right.
So what are you saying?
Do we stay on
You want to
410?
extend the 410?
Yeah, until weather permitting. Could be 3 weeks, could be a week, could be, but as soon as the weather changes, then we just go back to 5/8.
We did it last year, worked out well.
I'll make the motion, we'll go ahead with this again, to collective bargaining agreement between Granite County and I will read on the 4 day, 10 hours per work week.
I'll second it.
Any public comment?
Nothing was it.
I was just gonna say, this wasn't on the agenda, but this is not significant public interest. This is day to day.
So we can go ahead and do it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so then,
So we went up yesterday with Lee and looked at that Poison Patch Road, and we gotta put some culverts in there. There's some plugged, some are too small, and we've been waiting. We've known we had to do this, for the summer. Well, we finally got the pipes and stuff, and they're gonna let us get gravel out of their property to fix a bunch of their road and stuff over out there, so it'll just be our time. And so I just wanna see if you have any thoughts on that, or
still the same shape it was 20 years ago.
worse. It's got water running down the road, and we just need to pipe it, fix some spots. Like we were talking in here a few weeks ago, we gotta start hitting all these non-maintained roads a little at a time and start getting them better. And my plan is to start on that next week, but I just wanna make sure everybody's okay with that.
I'm fine.
Good man. You say you got some big rock for base course or?
Yeah, and there's 3 different places we can get material out of there and build that road up in several spots. Try to get something done,
I don't have no problem.
Well, that's all I got.
Let's see, so he'll send me some pictures of it.
Yeah,
So what's the best way to go in there to see that?
Bear Gulch Road, or the frontage road in Drummond, and then as soon as you hit Bear Gulch, go underneath, under the highway and go back in that way.
So does Lee need to be up here discussing this too? The
Yeah, he's
Poison
got
Patch?
some other stuff.
You gotta introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Lee
Your
Scow.
hand.
In case you don't know.
It's on Zoom. I'm using the mic, so.
I'm Lee Scow. My wife and I own the Open Cross Ranch. It's down west out of Hall. Anyway, we have a county road that goes out through the ranch for several miles. And, like Paul was saying, we went and looked at the road yesterday. The road's got really rough shape over the last few years. The county seems like has gone to a low or no maintenance on a lot of these old county roads that there aren't no residences out on that road. But the road still gets a fair amount of traffic on it, recreation type of traffic. We see a lot of four-wheelers and side-by-sides now coming and going. Anyway, we have a tendency at home to sit around and complain about the county no maintenance policy. And finally, I we should just go up and visit with the commissioners, so at least they know what we're up against on our end of it, which is we need that road to be in some kind of decent condition. We're constantly having to go in and out with pickups and horse trailers and stuff in the road. This summer probably being one of the worst. We had that big rain event in the middle of the summer and it washed out a bunch of road. It's absolutely miserable. Paul can attest to. Anyway, what we would ask is, and Paul said this is kind of what his idea is, has been in past, is scheduled maintenance. Maybe run a blade in there a couple times summer, or once in the summer. Used to be years ago when I first showed up on the ranch. The county was always good about it. They'd run a blade in there in the spring and then again in the fall, shortly before hunting season. You know, that's when it gets the bulk of the traffic on it. So anyway, I guess I would ask if we go back to that, to you know, some kind of scheduled maintenance. What has happened over the last few years since it's, you know, it's gone to almost zero maintenance, is the road bed ends up just about going away. So Dan Hoffman and I, several years ago, bought an old grader. We've been doing maintenance on it ourselves, which we feel like isn't very fair. It is a county road, but we're spending, you know, our own money, fuel, and time trying to keep it in some kind of condition just for our own use. But it doesn't work out to be just for our own use. You know, I spent a day grading on across the poison patch earlier this summer, and then we had a rain event 2 days later. And when I went up to see if anybody had been there right after the rain event, sure enough, there's mud tracks this deep right up through my freshly graded. That's what we're up against. It is, you know, and yeah, Scotty has seen this before too. We've had problems in the past. Just once in a while, sometimes it's certain individuals that just cannot stay off that road. You know, if it's wet, that's the mud bog place to go. So it gets beat up. I guess the other thing is I want the commission to know that we don't expect that road to be in perfect shape all the time, not by any means. And we've got this old grader, and when we have a rain event like that, we're perfectly capable of keeping that going. And you know, we realize that you don't have time and money to spend a whole bunch of money on that road. Doesn't even make sense with it's.
Maybe we can get it back up to shape, just like you said, get it once a year or something, just to help out. I mean, I'd be my opinion, just because there's gonna be spots, you know, all over the county that's gonna have to try to do this, and if we get the time, at least, you know.
I think so too. That's basically, yeah, what Paul and I talked about yesterday was what's needful on all of these roads is some kind of scheduled maintenance so that the road doesn't completely go to zero. You know, for me to do it now, it's almost a rebuild. It's not maintenance anymore. It's rebuilding the county roads. And yeah, it gets to be a huge job if it's left unmaintained for several years. So
what I am gathering is they used to do it years ago in the spring and in the fall.
they did.
And somehow it just got dropped off.
It's just never been done since I've been here.
the to-do list. So we have a new
Right.
superintendent. And this is something that you bringing it to us and bringing it to our attention is a good thing, because now we know that it was maintained regularly before.
Well, and the thing is there's going to be so many more people here than there was even 5 years ago. You know,
It's a
it's
day.
just by the thousands, you know.
We've
I
even
mean-
put signs up, remember, and they tore them
Yes.
all, and then they
Yeah.
went out through your field and that, remember, that's
Yes.
what sucked worse.
There's a camper and a side by side stuck in every J hole in Granite County every weekend, you know. Just a lot of people.
Mhm.
So this is one of the roads that's been brought to your attention that needs maintained immediately.
Yeah, we've been waiting. We got some culverts and stuff now, and well, it's just gotta get done before winter, you know, and so I'm just got a plan to start on that on Monday and do some. I mean, we're not gonna do the whole thing, but do what we can do, and then next year do some more.
Get the dips first.
Yeah.
Well, they might.
Build up all our mud holes, try to get the shit water off the road,
So,
you know,
big time.
put a couple 3 culverts in or whatever.
Sound good to me. I used to drive that road a lot.
We'll fix it up for you.
Yeah.
One more thing I'd like to say is that I'm not sure how the road maintenance is funded. But what Paul said is absolutely true. There's getting to be more and more pressure on these county roads all the time as the population increases in the county. So when it's time to write your budget or whatever, however you do that, you need to keep that in mind that, you know, the maintenance is gonna be more. It's gonna cost more, you know, almost on a yearly deal now.
We've been talking about it, so.
Yeah, no, no doubt. Anyway, you know, I just thought, like I say, I needed to go on record to give you that kind of support, you know, I mean, at least we as that ranch are behind you as far as going after as much funding as you can get and, you know, to make the road maintenance.
See,
stay.
one thing that maybe you don't know is that the road fund, the taxes are not countywide.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
In fact, if you could explain to me how the road funding works, I'd appreciate it.
So probably if you would visit with Vicky, she could tell you just where the road fund is taxed. So residents of Peaburg and residents of Drummond don't pay road tax. In the county taxes, and the road doesn't get taxed countywide.
Is it part of property taxes that go
Yes.
to maintain?
Yes.
Okay, well, Paul said something about the gas tax. Do you get gas tax money too?
And the gas tax money does go, the road, they use it for the road fund, yes.
And is that federal
Yes.
dollars that come back?
It
to
all
you or
gets put in the
state?
road fund, yeah.
Yeah, the gas tax.
Yeah.
Okay, so you get funding from federal through the gas tax, and then the rest of the road maintenance fund comes from property
Yeah,
taxes.
and we also had to supplement 500,000 from PILT this year to balance the road fund budget. That's how dire the road
At
fund
one time,
is.
I knew what PILT was. like,
See, PILT is payment in lieu of taxes
Okay.
that we get from federal
For-
government.
From Forest Service,
Yeah.
basically, Forest Service land. Well, like I say, I guess I would encourage you to go after, you know, funding, if you get funding from several different sources. You know, it's important to get as much as you possibly can. I don't know how you make up your budget. Do you go by miles of county road that you're required to maintain?
Well, it's,
Is that how you budget?
Expenditure on it, we go through with, you know, every year and we see where we're sitting, how much we spent, what we have to do, and then if we have to allocate some here and there, trying to.
I see.
so it's basically like you do on your ranch, what comes in and what has to go out, and you hope they balance. You hope you get enough revenue to pay your bills, is
Look,
what.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
You're in trouble. That does never work for us. I guess that's all that I have to city. So I appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for coming
Paul,
in.
for, yeah,
You bet.
taking us up yesterday.
We'll see you later, Lee.
Have a good one. Thanks.
Yeah, see.
Oh, what about the Bear Gulch thing?
So, there was an apple tree in the right of way that was damaged up, Bear Gulch Road, right?
Yeah.
And she keeps contacting Commissioner Adler about the commission doing something about it. Well, she'd also turned it in the sheriff's office and they're like, it's in the right of way. So, I think Commissioner Adler's point was, try not to in the future, but it could be damaged. So my thought would be is you put it on the agenda for next week and formally look at it. But it was in the right of way. There's no liability.
Why don't we just take it out if it's in the right of way?
Right, it's in the right of way. And we trim all these trees. We went through this a few years ago. Anything that hits the trucks, we're trimming them off. That's what we're doing.
Well, that's one of the reasons we bought that.
The more, yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is.
So who's complaining?
It's Laurel Hardy.
She just sent me a thing, wants something. She wants us to, either the guy that did it or us to pay her $200 for her apples, because they're prehistoric apples. She stopped at my driveway and,
For organic apples.
well, now she's saying that that's, yeah.
Prehistoric apples.
They gotta be hard to fight.
Something trying to get
But
done.
yeah, I'd encourage you to have it on the agenda to then give her a formal response.
So what can we do?
Nothing, it's in the right of way.
It's
That's
either,
what I tried to explain. Then she said that they left hazard stuff where he cut. And it's, I didn't see.
Never does anything, it wasn't on the
It's
right
not
of way.
dead, is it?
Huh?
It's not dead?
No,
I deny her claim, but yeah, I guess a future plan.
So it was pruned.
right.
You pruned it.
And
It's supposed to.
I don't know, just, we went through the same deal either, I think it was last year up in Rock Creek about some hedge bushes that were going clear out in there and we trimmed them off. So you're not brushing against the truck, and not to mention its visibility is everything. And plus it's in our right of way.
Yeah, I
I told her we can make them move their fences back and cut it completely down to 33 feet. Have a good day.
I'd say have her claim on your agenda under Paul's report next week and I would encourage you to deny it and you can decide on a future plan.
I just text and tell us on the agenda next week.
Okay.
Oh, good. Let's see.
See the cattle guard gonna be on the agenda next week. Huh?
Oh, I went up Saturday at Red Lion and that trailer and snow plow and stuff was gone off our road.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
So,
Good.
Yeah. Other than that, I guess that's all I got.
This,
So I took that Bear Gulch exit, went on the freeway, which way do I go with that?
Just to the right, it only goes one way. Just cross the railroad tracks and stay right on the main road.
You'll come out down at where,
Is it marked somehow, this cattle guard?
I think ribbon it.
did you mention the snowplow? It's in and ready or they working on
What's that?
the new snowplow?
Still waiting for parts.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, sound good.
All right, I'll send you some pictures.
Okay.
I need you to sign this one instead of the one Blaine handed you.
now she's standing in wire, you put, always put it on the
I've told her numerous times it's in the right of way that,
Did you tell her it's on the agenda next
Yeah.
week?
Now she just texts back where you always put it on.
Because we can't, we have to put it on the agenda. We can't just discuss it. with
She's
her.
throwing it.
If we're gonna have a bunch of trouble with that.
It's a public comment.
Dick has a public comment.
Dick,
Colin,
Well, can you hear me?
Can't.
we couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear you.
I couldn't hear him either.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
You can?
Yep.
Thank you. I'd like to comment on the presentation by Mr. Alton. I assume the speaker is Lou Scaw. The problem is with the hearing on the website, the hearing isn't all that good, and both of them, their speech is kind of garbled. They should both be required to speak into the microphone so that people can understand and know what they have to say. The other thing is, I think in order to make a motion on anything that they do, they both should submit reports and have the reports posted on the website so that people will know ahead of time what they're talking about. But after listening to you, I didn't understand the motion. I don't know exactly what he was talking about, and it's totally impossible for the public to understand what that's all about. The other thing is, again, we get the condition where you're closing the meetings during the period of time that you're having no further discussion. I'd like you to be reminded that it is against the statute that all meetings must be open to the public. So I'd like to request that you make changes to your procedures whereby the people are notified ahead of time of what the speakers are going to talk about, and that it be on the internet, and that there be a link on the agenda from the agenda to the public speech of the whatever the item is that the speaker is going to talk about. Thank you.
Right.
So Shauna was on earlier on Zoom and she actually sent me a text and said she could even hear me out here.
With this
So-
being on, with this.
Well, that was on at the time, I don't know if it was- so, this notion that people out here aren't being heard is not correct.
So, thanks, Dick. So we're gonna move on then. I think we're on Georgetown Lake. Are we?
Yep.
Yep. Thanks.
Thanks. See you
Thanks,
later.
Paul.
he didn't stay on the Forest Service road, Dave?
Paul, you gonna stay for this other thing, this Forest Service?
And I have Brad Learman on too for Georgetown Lake.
Brad, you on?
I am. How are you guys?
Pretty good.
Good.
What do you have?
Just wanted to kind of discuss where you guys are with operations now. I saw you voted to keep outflows at 30 CFS the rest of the season. Let me turn my video on here quick. Just wondering, wondering what you guys had plans after October 16th, when the license says, to go to either the lesser of inflows or 10 CFS.
Yeah, I think we're thinking
ahead.
about going to 10 CFS.
The 15th, and then it's the 16th is the day.
Yeah, right, 16th, yeah. Well, so I got I emailed Dave Amman, and I can forward this to you guys. He estimated the inflows were actually 6 CFS at this point, which is crazy low. So I guess, I was hoping maybe you guys would be able to get an update from him on what inflows are, and probably, and follow the license as far as matching inflow, since that's actually lesser than 10 CFS at this point.
Right. We're supposed to get a lot of precipitation, but maybe we could see, just wait another week or so and see what we are getting for precipitation. Maybe that 6 will come up. And
Yeah,
well,
right.
we can decide then.
Okay. So you guys voted last week to keep outflows at 30 CFS through October 16th. You feel like there's irrigation demand to do that? I guess, I don't know if you guys had a chance to read the short letter I sent you, but I mean, it definitely would be nice because we're below 27.5 now. And that's always, even my predecessor, Wayne Hadley, always followed that as, we do not ever want to be below that as far as likelihood of fish kills. And so I guess I was just wondering, I mean, are you guys hearing that irrigators need the water? Because if not, if we could turn it down, before the 16th, that would be really helpful at this point, but.
Yeah, that'd be good. But we didn't think we could get everybody to agree on that. All the irrigators.
Okay.
So it'd be the 15th, actually.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
They would cut it back to 10 on the 15th.
or on the end of the day on the 15th.
Yeah, hopefully get some precipitation and 10 would do it, but we can talk about it next week and see what we're getting.
So you guys are definitely hearing that your irrigators need the water though?
I've heard they need it. I don't know, I don't think, because after they heard us make the motion, we was gonna leave it until nobody's changed nothing to give them the update saying, well, now you guys want to cut it back to 10 today. Well, we can't, because, we need to let them know so they have a voice.
Yeah.
That's the problem when you guys don't get on here with us, Brad. We wait till the last minute. We beg and beg for information and everything, and this is where last week we could have brought it, and this week we could have probably dropped it back because we could have talked to irrigators. If we wait till the last minute every year, it just don't work.
Well, I mean, yeah. Right. The other thing is, let me know if you guys want me on. I can't join every meeting, so if you guys want me to join a meeting, let me know a day ahead of time. I'll
Okay,
be
well,
here. So
yeah, come on next week. We need you next week.
okay. Yeah, and consider, I guess, talking to some irrigators and see if they really need the outflows now. And if not, I would consider maybe turn it down next. Just, the other thing is, as you guys know, we got to get the reservoir filled for next year too. So.
Oh,
We
yeah,
know that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not helping to draw it down further if they don't.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comment? Is there a motion?
I'll make motion to stay until the 15th, so we can get the irrigators opportunity to speak on this too.
Stay at the 30 or 27 or 30, whatever we're at now.
And 27.
Get a second?
Second.
Any public comment on that? Seeing none. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Well, we'll talk to you next week, Brad.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, bye.
All right.
Beg and get on each time. That's them, the ones that are worried about the water, they should get on, so we know what. That's all I'm trying to say.
Don't we have to stay, or could we have gotten approval to bring it down?
Yeah, that to be considered.
From all-
irrigators, Yeah.
Areas, and it takes a week to do that.
Yeah.
We saw that already.
Like Eddie Nunes has been up here and said, keep it through the irrigation season.
Yeah, everybody won't agree. So now we're gonna move on to the Forest Service talking about Sun Mountain Lumber Rack Proposal Future Project Implementation for Forest Service and Road 1589. And introduce yourselves, please, and talk in the microphone, because we're having real problems.
Check.
Yeah.
Cameron Razor, District Ranger, for the Pentland Ranger District.
Sarah, also a scientist for the Denton Ranger District.
So what we're proposing, back in 2006, we did environmental analysis for timber sale up at Maxville. And it's called the Maxville Hazardous Fuel Reduction Project. Well, the type of environmental analysis that we did got litigated, nationally got litigated, not just for this project. We had 2 projects that were impacted by it. That was one, and then the Georgetown Hazardous Fuel Project was another. And we redid the environmental analysis for the Georgetown project and ended up being able to complete that project, but we never did anything for Maxville. It just got dropped. And I mean, that timber sale was even sold, it was marked, the NEPA was done, but again, got litigated and that project got dropped. So I'm gonna take another stab at it. I think it's a pretty important project. I was scanning through the folder this morning, and there was even a letter from Mr. Nelson when he was a commissioner in favor of the project, because it is to help, reduce the fuels around Princeton and Maxville. And it was a good project back then. It's still a good project now that I want to get going.
Could you just hold up a minute?
Granite County Commissioner's Office.
Yeah, hi. I'm again, texting Scott Adler, and he told me to call the office. I don't quite know why.
This is Laurel Hardy on the Apple Tree. I was explaining to him who you were.
Okay,
So,
I need to,
Why we
So-
put it on the agenda for next week, cause then that way we can go over it and then it needs to be on the agenda.
why ain't it on today's agenda? Why has it been on last week's agenda?
Cause I didn't put it on, I guess that's my fault.
And then,
Okay.
I don't understand what's taking so long. It,
well, it'll be on next, it'll be on next week, so you can call in then.
can anybody just go into the commissioners meeting?
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'll just come in then.
okay.
Yeah, just look on the website and it'll show you what time.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay,
Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't even hear that.
So there's one road that's important for this project. It's also important for other things. It's the only access up to Maywood Ridge. There's some livestock improvements that are accessed by this road. And it's a road that has not been maintained by the Forest Service for a long, long time, if it's ever received any maintenance at all. But it's for that project. So I brought Sarah here today. She's kind of our roads manager for the district. And she'll talk to you guys at the particulars, the details of this project and why we're here to talk with you guys today. So.
Thank you.
So just to give you a packet, I apologize, I couldn't get that to you earlier. I was out in the field with Sean Steinbeck yesterday going over some of this. The first is a really general proposal that he will be working on, getting some more details in. That second map is just sort of a bigger overview. There's a yellow highlighted road. That's the road that we're in the segment that we're looking at. And then the last page there is a little bit more detailed, and you can see where the potential reroutes are located on that road. Again, there's some very steep areas, some very tight switchbacks, even hard to get around and to pick up. And there is quite a bit of water moving down the road. You can see, lots of water. It just goes right down the middle there. So that would be the types of things that we're looking at doing in terms of improvements. And again, this is just sort of wanted to put this on your radar right now in terms of when we have done some road projects with you in the past. If we have some funds and can partner with the county to actually get the work implemented using local contractors and also quite a bit faster than we can do in our contracting world. So that's, just wanted to put this in front of you again. It's not even close to being finalized yet per se. We also do have to put it through the RAC to see if we can even get the project or funds approved through this, I guess that funding source. And so we'll be talking later. Again, just wanted to kind of put this on your radar and let you know that it could potentially be coming down the pipeline. And then we would also have to do our side of it and do the NEPA and the analysis and to do those reroutes. Do you have any questions?
So when would this be then? How many years down the road?
Well, we'd be looking at it pretty close, like next year potentially, if we can get everything through.
So we're putting in for a resource advisory committee grant, which I believe is due here in November. And if we get that money, we would like to implement the project through the cooperative county agreement with the Forest Service, same way we did in 2018 and 19. So
Do you need a letter from us? Is that what you?
no, we just need an okay that you guys would be willing to help us. For this project, you know, we would run it the same way we did in 18 and 19, and really, Billy would have the most work to do out of everybody.
A lot of that money we made off of that when we did stuff, paid his wages. That's why we've always kind of done it.
Yeah, but the RAC money is gonna go to this road, isn't it?
How the cooperative road agreement works, Chuck, is you guys would hire the contractors, we would administer the contracts, and Billy would directly, through our Albuquerque Service Center, would bill them
Just
to
like
pay
we
for
did.
gravel, contracts, engineering, whatever like that. And then the money would come to Granite County, but you guys would get to charge an indirect cost for her time, for any time that Paul would be involved. And that's what the money that Scott was talking about, that comes back to the county, that's above and beyond the project. But it'd all be funded out of our appropriated dollars and then the RAC dollars.
Makes it easier to do it, because then with that cooperative work thing, then we can get it done and move on, especially if they're gonna put up a sale.
Would
As
this
long as
be,
it's not fire money.
would it be over,
It's not fire money.
would it be over 80,000 project?
No, the whole project would probably be 100, but that's including gravel and, but as far as like a contractor, we would stay well below the 8,000 threshold.
Would the county be responsible for engineering as well, or is it
No.
just the, okay?
Just the implementation
Yeah,
side of it.
okay.
So what you're saying is that administrative fees could be charged to this with using Paul and Billy.
We did it before with them.
Well, and then like when they start hauling gravel, just for example, they'll start trucking gravel, we'll be in charge of that, because we'll hire the contractor, well, we use county dump trucks to do that, and that puts revenue in the county road department as well.
We made a lot of money off it when we went together.
We had a lot of money to work with though, with those projects too. This is a way scaled down version. Yeah. I mean, we probably did, geez, how many roads? 7 or 8 roads. We're talking only one this time. So it's a much more scaled down project. I would not be surprised if the whole project only comes in at about 100,000 total. And of course, you guys don't have to come up with any of it. You just need to be our broker, help us hire the contractors, and purchase the gravel, and then invoice the Forest Service.
So it's win-win.
It's been a really good partnership, I guess, when we got some of that stuff done. And again, it helps us get things done a little bit more quickly than we can through our systems, and we can stay with those local contractors, which we can't guarantee going through our system.
So we'll go with public comment now. Dick?
And then I can also get a blog while there's still a sawmill left. You know,
Dick?
I can't, I assume you can hear me or you can't hear me?
Barely.
No? You can't hear me?
Can now. Go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Go.
Thank you. Again, I would like to request that when the speakers come on, they identify themselves.
They did.
again, it's impossible to understand what they're saying because of the sound. The other thing is, I would, I would like to know whether or not the proposal for the RAC, the RAC proposal was posted on the website. I couldn't find it anywhere, and so there's no way for me to review that ahead of time and be able to participate in the meeting. What was the proposal printed and submitted to the county website?
It's not done yet, is it?
No,
So Dick, they're still accepting proposals for the RAP committee. And I'm not sure that's a public forum. You know, there's a committee of elected, they're not officials, but they're,
Yeah, just put it on the board.
yeah, but you have to be appointed, yeah. There's appointed individuals on the RAC, there's 10 or 15 of them. And they look through all the projects, so you're probably not gonna see these projects online. But again, the proposals aren't due until, it's like the middle of November, I believe.
any other Dick? Okay, so
One thing, again, Sean is still up to when she heard them introduce themselves, so he's fibbing, saying he's not here. The question, though, my understanding is that your boss has the final say over the RAC money. Is that your understanding, Cameron, or am I misinterpreting that?
I honestly don't know. I think it's the committee that determines.
So the way I was looking at the set is that there was just advisory only, and that, but maybe they always defer to them.
I would assume they defer. I mean, it's a diverse group of individuals, so.
I think that is a public meeting, but whether it's in, but the county could put that proposal on our website.
I believe you're
Yeah, it
correct.
goes through that whole committee and they set up, and they sit down and because we missed the meeting last year but they sit down and do their own meeting. They set up because they have so many people, so it's not, it isn't us setting up the meeting.
so we need a motion that will go for this one?
I'd make a motion to go ahead with cooperative road work or service on 1589.
I'll second it.
There's public comment. from Elena.
Okay, Elena?
I'm sorry, was that Cameron that was speaking? And what's the name of the group that you mentioned that meets the committee?
RAC.
Yeah, Elena, this is Cameron. It's the Tri-County Resource Advisory Committee.
Tri-County Resource. I got it. Okay, Tri-County Resource Committee. Thank you.
Advisory committee.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Go for it.
Thank you.
We'll be back when we have more details.
Hey, just one more thing, since we're talking roads. I've been working with an individual up at Black Pine who plowed County Road last year in Forest Service. So I told him yesterday that he's got to come in and meet with you guys. He claims he talked with you.
Russ?
but Russ,
I
yeah.
haven't talked to them yet.
Is that the one where it got all goofed up there? Or is this different?
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about here. You know, we're gonna get a policy.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get that done.
Yeah,
Maybe we can get with Sarah and
So-
come up with a combined one.
So I've drafted up a little like simple agreement for people, once they come into the commission and you guys approve it, they can be, this agreement can be, but yeah, they need to come in and basically everyone that's has done that, the kind of roads, you ask them to come in.
There's
So
a guy at Walkie called yesterday, and I don't know his name, but that's what he wants.
so I think, let's put that on the agenda for next week. That we'll look at this agreement and decide if that's what we want to say.
Okay, so you'll come up with a,
Blaine already got one wrote up.
Yeah.
oh, okay, I got their
What
copy.
these guys have.
They have,
That way we can get this stuff stopped.
Let's do her. Get her done.
Yeah, and maybe we could just work together on whether we allow the plow or not, depending on where it is, like red lines, obviously, and not a good spot to plow. Black pine may be an okay spot for both of us.
It's gonna be different.
But I can think of three right now. We got the guy up on Dunkelberg Ridge, he's gonna come in through Douglas, correct?
Yep.
Supposedly.
He wants both, but.
We're not gonna get them both, just so you guys know. So yeah, Douglas Creek, Black Pine, and but for new ones.
Those are the two. Well,
I
Butler's.
could have swore there was three. He's not gonna plow them, it's a different county. Anyways, I thought there was three, but. Okay.
Oh, good.
All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you all.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, we're off until 10:30.
There we go.
Thank you.
No, it is. They had it turned off.
So I guess,
On the agenda for next week?
yeah,
This.
when's that supposed to be? I guess I was just, what I'm asking, Becky. See this? You see what I'm asking? Why are we?
What's mute?
Oops, start over.
I guess that's the only reason why I was asked about it. I know we put it on the agenda for next week.
Yeah, we need to see why.
We just want, maybe they could, maybe we could have them call in or whatever, so we understand. I just don't understand. Bear wait till next week.
So what do we get out of it?
We won't get, the county gets, if they have helping somebody into a business, but then when the business fails and that, and then it's like, the county is stuck with this building and stuff that they supported and it don't work, and then, here you got like the grocery store and stuff, it's little, well, it's not little.
So was that in
I guess that's the only thing I don't know, we talked to them before about if they need to explain it better to the people who are trying, I don't know. I just didn't think, I just wasn't.
yeah, just research on how long we've been doing it and what benefits for the county that.
And they'll bring up, like brewery and they're complete. To me,
Did the
that's
brewery get help from them?
Is what I thought, I think they said. I can't remember what I was thinking.
Oh, sorry, I'm still getting down here. Don Hoffman had a message that Eve Park, she wanted him to be up here as well. She's on the fair board, so she has to be tabled for 2 weeks. But also she's not happy with the proposed bylaws with the. So she,
Okay.
concerned about those. So
So
maybe
Wasn't
table.
this kind of like it was before and they only have so many votes against all their votes?
She, couple of her issues are, one is like the clerk over there of the board is like takes over and everyone defers, or that's one of the frustrating parts. Yeah, and then they were allowing at-large people to have, from Anaconda Deer Lodge is no longer a part of it, but having at-large people from there, and she's like, well, then they would pay, then they're potentially Anaconda Deer Lodge would pay their 4-H group, and the 4-H group would put that money in, but she's like, but they don't have any liability exposure, whatever, they should be potentially paying a little more even there, so.
Yeah, they
There's
can
still
bring
some
it up,
concerns.
bring the bylaws, bring all that 2 weeks.
Okay, we'll table this for 2 weeks
Okay.
Thanks.
and we're off until 10:45. Okay, now we're up for DPHHS Addictive and Mental Health Discussion Division, Alcohol Tax Distribution, request for county plans, discussion and decision.
Okay, so we give these tax dollars to Anaconda because we don't have a program. And we've been doing this for years and years, and apparently we haven't filled out the form saying that we're going to do this. And so I think all they're doing is requesting that we get this done and delegate the money to where we've been sending it in the past.
Western Montana Addiction
Yeah.
Services.
Yeah. That's what this is. They're just saying that.
Okay, is this correct though, or do you need me to call that lady?
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Well, Sarah is the one that was kind of informing me on it. I think,
okay,
yeah. Yeah, I think we need to just follow through on that, get that done and
Okay.
let them know, because Granite County hasn't done it for years. So it's
Okay.
just something that went by the wayside, we didn't get done, but we've still been getting the tax dollar and sending it to wherever we're sending it.
Western Montana.
Yeah.
How much is it?
She said 6.
No, that's different.
Oh, it doesn't say it.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me
This
see, let me
is just
see.
the plan.
It looks like it is like $6,000 a year.
That's the only place we can send it to, right?
Yeah.
Are the most,
Yeah,
applicable. They do, from my perspective, they do a good job over there. People like on DUIs, they have to take the Crime for Life course, addiction course, that's an option to go over there. they do online.
So basically, this is the alcohol tax distribution, and they're requesting for our county plan that we haven't done, that we need to get done. I make a motion to get that done.
Any public comment? Elena? Elena?
Thank you. This is Elena Gagliano. Just for confirmation, you said that it's money that the county gets every year, tax money county gets every year, about 6,000, but it hasn't been done for years. So how much is the total amount that we've been getting, and it's sitting where?
It's just a plan hasn't been done.
Okay, it's not that the money hasn't been distributed, it's that we didn't fill out the plan. It's been a few years since the plan has been updated. But the distribution comes in, and we've been giving it to Anaconda all the while, but we just need to update the plan.
One clarification, no, not Anaconda, Deer Lodge County, it's, Western
Yeah,
Montana.
yeah, Western
Or-
Montana, sorry.
Dixon Service.
Yeah, it's, we just send the money to Western Montana Tri-County Addiction, and have for years. And we haven't updated the plan. And so they're just requesting us update the plan, and we'll continue to get the tax distribution and send it to Western Montana Tri-County Addiction.
Do you have the original plan, or the plan that's still that has to be updated? If you do, I'd like a copy of that.
This is online.
Do we have an old plan?
Oh.
Should be on file. So
I'll look and see what.
Billy will look to see.
Okay, thank you, because if you gotta update it, you should have something to update. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Uh,
Aye. Okay, we're off until 11. Okay, now it's time for Granite County Policy and Procedure Manual discussion decision. Again,
again,
are we ready to adopt it?
okay, after we changed the verbiage on page 10, looking, I think, for the months and months and months that we've been working on this, hopefully we've got all the little little stuff, little glitches out of it. Good word. So I make a motion, we approve the personnel policy and procedure handbook.
Second it.
Any public discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Oh, thanks, Billy.
There you go, Billy and Blaine. This has been in process actually for years.
Yeah, you're set down.
Yep.
Bill
Yeah.
Slaughter. First game.
Okay, we're off until 11:15. Okay, now it's time for the ARPA funds minimum allocation grant agreements with the town of Phillipsburg and the town of Drummond. Update, discussion, and decision.
You want me to start on the agreements?
Sure.
So Mako had a model agreement, state and Mako were encouraging the counties to have agreements, sub-agreements with the town. Here, I mean, essentially handshakes probably good enough, but here it reminds everyone what everyone's agreeing to. I think these agreements state what we, that this will cover the minimum allocation, and that it doesn't talk about the county's other ARPA funds, but the county said that they had extra, you may, consider at that time, but that's not part of this agreement. But I think it lays out what we've basically already come to an agreement on. Is there anything else?
I have them here. I sent them both to both towns the end of last week, but there was some information from the towns I needed for them to fill in. See.
You guys want to come up here in case you talk, and then make sure you introduce yourself, because Zoom, they can't figure out who's talking.
Gail's on Zoom.
What's that?
Gail's
Okay.
on Zoom.
While the mayor is reading this, my name is Maureen Connor, and whoa.
Drop the mic.
Okay, my name is Maureen Connor, and I'm assisting the town of Phillipsburg with infrastructure. The mayor and I are here today to, I guess, probably sign that agreement, but also I need to explain a couple things to you about the minimum allocation grant. And the process is that the application gets filled out. It gets certified essentially as being valid by state agency workers, and then it goes to the legislative commission to be approved. And then I'm not clear if they're having the governor sign the minimums or not, just the bigger ones, but I'm not clear on that. So there's a lot of steps. I had hoped to have this in last week, but didn't make it. The reason that I had that particular deadline is because I wanted to get it to the next commission meeting for approval. So we didn't make that, so we're shooting for the next one. The reason that I am, this is actually not due literally a year or a year and a half, I think, about. But what I'm trying to do is Phillipsburg's preparing to go into a round 2 application. And this time it will be for drinking water. And the application period for that just opened up. So this time Phillipsburg is going to be struggling to get more match points, which is the money that we bring to the project. And that's because we put everything we had into round 1. So this, I guess I want to express gratitude to the county on this. This is going to be awesome to be able to be used for match. So the round 2 project period is open right now. We're not ready to submit, but I would love to get this minimum allocation organized. It will simplify our application for round 2 quite a bit to get this one taken off and to be able to use this as just direct match. So within now, that's, if you're confused, I don't blame you at all. This is really quite a handful of stuff. What I am trying to do is send in one application on both Granite County and the town of Phillipsburg's behalf, where I'm applying for our minimum allocations at the same time. To be very honest with you, I'm not 100% sure that will work. The downside, if it doesn't work, is they're just going to kick it back to us, no penalty or anything. But Billy will essentially have to fill out a county ARPA application on Phillipsburg's project. So my thinking is I've already missed the deadline on this, so give it a try and see if we can not waste time. They might do it. But I feel like I need to tell you that. So like, when we submit, if you get a phone call, so you can't do this, you have to do your own, that's whatever. That's fine. We can do it. And I think Billy can, once we get this up and running, can copy and paste the relevant parts. Okay, so there's one part on the application. And this is for all ARPA. And it's called the certification form. And this is a result of House Bill 632. And it has to do with local governments not making rules more restrictive than the state allowance, particularly with respect to COVID. So I'm going to just hand this sheet over, and Mr. Chair might want to take a look at it, but the town's done one also. I'll just send that around. And then, and so that went in, the same form exactly went into our ARPA round 1, presumably our ARPA 2, but also our minimum allocation. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, I guess this is Mayor Reddish speaking. And I'd also like to express my gratitude to the commissioners for considering this process. I know it's kind of convoluted and all, but I think we'll work our way through it. And Maureen's been doing a good job trying to line all this out. Our idea here is essentially to get momentum and to get moving on everything. And then, as she indicated, if we hit speed bump, we'll be positioned to address that, and we'll just reapply. So that's essentially what I have what Maureen has conveyed to you folks, and we can fill in the numbers on this, not a problem. Any questions at this point?
So are you helping Drummond as well, Maureen, or just Phillipsburg?
And we decided, because of our urgency with this related, oh, sorry.
You guys want to look at that?
Yeah, this is Maureen again, and we decided with our urgency on this round 2 drinking water application. They surprised us, for some of us, I guess. I was super surprised. That round 2 is actually open right now, and it is not due until January 14th. So we have some time to get that through. The amount that I have down for Granite County, this is the, I'll pass this around, but just to read it out, is $230,411 out of your minimum allocation, and that's less money for you guys for audit and admin, okay, and split with Drummond. Our money that we've already used a portion of it on round 1 is $181,739.35. Okay, so they told me I could do this, and I take it seriously when they say stuff like this, but I'm matching 6 ways from Sunday here. So I don't think there's actually going to be any match required. I think I have enough match to match the county, because it's not real match. I guess I should say it's money that we've already expended that I'm applying to this. So I'm hoping that I've got enough match for that. So there's no actual money changing hands here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So
the draft agreement says they're responsible for that portion. So whether you that's approved, that sounds good. One thing I haven't researched and I'm relying upon you is you can use these minimum allocations for your match for other.
Yeah, sewer and water, yes.
Oh, okay, but, okay, all right.
So that's kind of what I'm working on. They told me that I could use county's minimum to match our minimum and then our minimum to match county. So I'm taking it seriously. It's just.
And you say your minimum is that they're separate, the town's separate application, correct? Or am I?
I'm trying to combine them into two. We may end up, and this will be helpful for Drummond one way or the other, but we may end up knowing soon that they want us to come back and do one on, just that the county just has to do one. And it will be essentially just like Phillipsburg's, except with different authorized people and a switcheroo on the, well, the budget actually won't be any, it'll be the same. It'll still be a opinion.
But I think with all that said, the agreement is good, and it just says each town will get half of that minimum allocation of the counties.
Less
So,
audit and
less,
admin.
yeah, less the cost, yeah, and it states that.
And then just looking ahead at audit and admin, I think the county already has to do a federal audit because of PILT. No, okay, well.
It's all other grants that we've got. So
Okay.
there's a certain amount, and
750.
it's not just because of. PILT.
Yeah, but probably, yeah, we're at with that.
That's what I'm just saying.
Yeah, with the
So-
ARPA, with,
Yes.
I don't think this year that we do have to, but we will in the future.
Exactly, and that's why I think that putting that audit money right up front and
Yeah.
the admin money right up front is
Yeah,
really good, and it'll just sit there, and if it ends up being cheaper than that, then maybe there could be a little, these projects will be going on for a while.
and we've done more federal audits than not really.
Right,
we've had to.
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, yep. So, anyway, I think we're good on that, the town will have to do one, and, so, yeah, so ARPA round 2 is coming right up, and, we're working on trying to get that organized. If this works, it's great, it'll just save time. If it doesn't work, sorry. But it's just a matter of doing it from her computer, basically, but copying this stuff.
Hey, Gail, do you have anything?
Can you decide?
If you're going to.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that document that Billy sent over, obviously that was from Phillipsburg, and because it says drinking water with it. So we, our engineers are working on language, numbers, all of that. And then we will come up and present to you, and I'll let Mayor Reddish know when we're ready to be able to do it.
Okay. This is Mayor Rish. Thank you for that, Mayor Leeper. And I'll be looking for your communication.
Sure. We had our lawyer look over that that was sent up to us, and I mean, we just got to tweak some language and put our numbers in there that we got, and we may have a question or two also, but we'll get put on the agenda to come up and talk with you folks.
Hey, sound good. Public comment, Dick.
Hold on, things moved all around. There we go.
In June, the Department of Interior changed the method of allocating PILT funds to the county rather than having the county make an application and the subdivisions, Drummond and Phillipsburg, an application also, they had distributed the money and it was supposed to be available to the county for general administrative procedures. How does this allocation of the ARPA money either comply with that, or are we talking about two different things? Are we talking about the PILT money, or are we talking about grant money? And how was that budgeted?
Hi, this is Maureen. I'm sorry that I caused that confusion to you. I brought up PILT only as an example of needing audit, and used that as an example of a federal fund. So this has nothing to do with PILT.
So this has nothing to do with the PILT funds? This
No.
is strictly for grants?
Correct. This is for the ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act,
And-
minimum allocation grant.
And from what fund is the allocation coming? What did the county budget to provide for these, for this allocation?
The state,
Pardon?
it's state money.
Well, you
Did
still have to
You have
budget
an
for it, don't
ARPA
you?
fund that we established and we budgeted for the fiscal year 22. That has been discussed priorly. We do have our ARPA fund for our,
This would just be a pass, basically.
this would be a
pass-through.
pass-through for the city.
So in effect, whatever the allocation was that was applied to from the state, that's the way the money should be distributed?
To the yeah, corresponding to the application, yeah. Is that what you said? Just sewer.
New
And
sewer.
I assume, well, I assume that the Phillipsburg and Drummond both made an application for that, and it's essentially already been decided, hasn't it?
Been approved. by
Been
the county,
approved.
but the applications aren't.
It's been a, so what's the purpose of the meeting?
Oh, God.
We're gonna have to move on, Dick.
This is Mayor Reddish.
No, I'm not done, Mr. Adler.
Excuse me, Dick, this is Mayor Reddish, I have the floor. We're just getting a general understanding of how to proceed from here. That's why we're up here, to explain where we're at with respect to the process. And so that's basically why we're here today. As was indicated earlier, this has nothing to do with PILT, this is strictly ARPA funding. The county has put together their budget concerning their ARPA funding. This is just a pass-through that's going through to the towns. So the money can be allocated to the towns for use and not go back into the general. I don't know what the right word would be. That it's going to be used generally for the town sewer and water purposes. Both the towns and the counties have done all the correct budgeting for this process.
Wayne,
I'm
One thing,
assuming,
this is Blaine. All these projects with this minimum allocation can only go for water and sewer projects. And so basically the county can get these funds and pass them down to the towns, but the county doesn't really have any projects that fit with this grant. One other question for the mayor, would you want to have this agreement tabled for a week so you could look it over and we can get there's a couple exhibits that'll need attached to it, or do you want, to?
I'm comfortable with the way it is now. right?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Here's another comment from Elena.
Elena,
Okay, this will be fast. You said that you shared something that you got from Phillipsburg with the town of Drummond. That should be put online. uploaded to the website so we can see it also. And I noticed that you were passing something around commissioner to commissioner. Was that a laptop with information, digital information on that? And if it was, why couldn't it have been shared remotely so we could see it? That was my other comment question.
It's right there.
So, no, I think, if you're doing Zoom meetings, and this will become more and more prevalent, they're not going to be doing meetings in person, mark my word. You should know how to do that, because the public should be able to see it also on the screen. And whatever you get and share, Billy, with the towns, and it's going to be at a here, that it should be also shared with the county. Thank you.
Okay, you guys want me to sign this? Go ahead.
The one
So
thing
the-
that I want to say is the only thing that Maureen passed around was her spreadsheet to show us what it looked like. She had stated the amounts that the town of Drummond and the town of Phillipsburg are applying for, and she was just showing us the form.
Well, this is fine. I mean, if she provided to Billy, then it could be put online if the commission wanted.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
we gotta move on, everybody.
Okay, thank
So-
you. And just one other thing, I know that there's other counties they're having the same problem, and with ARPA money with sewer and water. And maybe you can check with another county, since it's a lot of questionable things and you don't have answers to. That's just a suggestion.
Okay, you guys want me to sign this?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, so you do that. I mean, I'd do a motion on that.
Oh, I make a motion that certification form to help out both towns. Right now, it's the town of Phillipsburg that is going to be what, a combined, you're going to try to combine it, correct? In a nutshell. Okay,
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Okay, what else do we have to do?
The agreement, if ready, or if you wanted to table the week, you can do that as well.
Let's just do it right now.
Yeah.
They need it right now.
So is there a motion to,
Another motion?
To approve the ARPA agreement with the town of Phillipsburg.
I make a motion, we approve the ARPA agreement with the town of Phillipsburg.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're gonna move on to Maria.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
thanks, everybody.
Thank you for your hard work. Maureen, good job.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I sent the documents over in advance, so you have them. And essentially, they're the same documents that were used at the hospital's board meeting last week. In the administrator's report, I'll share that recently the FDA and the CDC recommended that certain populations receive a booster vaccine of the Pfizer-BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine at least 6 months after the completion of their primary series. This recommendation only applies to the Pfizer vaccine, which is available locally through public health and the Granite Pharmacy. We don't carry the Pfizer here at the hospital. The recommendation went out that people 65 and older and residents in long-term care settings should receive the Pfizer vaccine. People age 50 to 64 with certain underlying medical conditions, people 18 to 49 who are at high risk for severe illness because of underlying conditions, and then people 18 to 64 who are at increased risk of exposure and transmission because of occupational or living in an institutional setting. All of our staff and patients were vaccinated with the Moderna. So we're waiting to see if they recommend a booster on that particular vaccine. And there's additional funding that's going to be distributed between through Health and Human Services. And that's it's called the Phase 4 distribution from the original CARES Act, and also the American Rescue Plan Act funds that were designated for rural providers. They're going to distribute those based on a single application process. And the hospital has already started applying for those funds. In IT, we've been working with the Healthy Granite County Network and Intermountain Healthcare to coordinate a go live for a telecrisis intervention access point. They installed all the hardware, and essentially it's a cart that contains a computer screen and a secure access to a secure portal, so that emergency room patients or clinic patients in crisis can access the mental health services for an evaluation to determine what the next step should be. Currently, we have to wait for a crisis intervention counselor to arrive on site, and that can take hours. It ties up the emergency room, it ties up law enforcement frequently, and it delays care and treatment for the patient in need. So having this access point electronically through telehealth, we can access a mental health provider for the evaluation, and they can visit with the patient and determine what the best next steps are. So that's going to be a real benefit to our community. In radiology, we completed 16 CAT scans in the month of August, and this is well above the benchmark. And we are still working on the renovation to the radiology suite in order to accommodate upgraded equipment. The rest of the world uses digital equipment, so that's what we're looking to install, but need to renovate the room in order to accommodate it. Any questions on things in the administrator's report? Okay, so I'll go into the financial report. You've received the financial overview sheet that essentially says where we are with projected cash reserves. And then specifically in the packet of financials, you can see that the utilization, we had eight of our areas that were on track and 4 that were slightly below our expected budget. On the utilization compared to target and compared to prior month, you can see that the Phillipsburg clinic visits and the Drummond clinic visits are both well above expectation. They've been quite busy, as well as physical therapy, lab, CAT scans, and our long-term care resident census is now 18. In the revenue analysis, we're just slightly higher than last month in terms of our monies brought in, but 15.8% below target year to date. And that's not uncommon for this time of the year. Sorry, I've got a lot of pages. Okay. Under the profitability, you can see that operating profit month to date was down by just under 10,000. Okay, when you look at the balance sheet, on the balance sheet, you can see that we ended the month of August, and recognize that these are a month behind essentially, because we discussed the close of the previous month at each board meeting. So we ended August with 400,000 in unrestricted cash, and we're still working to finalize the amounts that are to be released for provider relief funds and from other grants. As the guidelines come in, then we're able to to figure out and finalize those amounts. August was a good month for collections, and we did see an increase in billing. Accounts payable is back down to 200,000 for the end of August, and everything is being paid timely. Under the profit and loss versus budget and prior year page, you can see that the August revenue is just 1% below budget, and that brings us to about 16% below budget year to date. Expenses for August were 7% over budget, but just over 3% over year to date. That's pretty much the bulk of it. Any questions on that?
Nope.
I did have one thing that I wanted to bring up. And we've had some challenges in utilizing the ambulance service. We've found that they will not transport our patients out of area. Like when we have a patient with a major long bone fracture and we need to send them to Missoula for care and surgery, that they don't transport. So we had recently had a patient that had to wait a very extended amount of time in order to get to a higher level of care. Is that something that you're aware of, that they are only covering 911 and they're not covering interfacility transports?
I thought they were supposed to do transports.
Well, they're not. They're saying that they're not doing it, that they're not contracted, or
Yeah, I don't have a contract.
is there a contract?
No.
No,
Okay, well, they're not providing that really valuable service.
so what are you doing?
To make it work.
Huh?
What are you doing to make it work?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Under this particular instance, we waited, I believe it was 5 hours to get the volunteer ambulance driver to take the call. And then we had to send a staff member. We were fortunate enough that we had an extra staff member on that day, but they're not licensed or insured to go on that type of a transport.
Have you talked to Kat?
Yes, I believe that the provider was reaching out to get additional information, but from what they're being told by the teams that are on duty is that they do not transport out of town, that they're only covering 911. So if I could get some support on your end in order to help clarify the expectation, that would be really appreciated.
Yeah, so we, yeah, let's do something.
Have them come in.
Well, that was my
I think they only had one ambulance is the issue, so you may want to have them come in and talk to them and see if they put 2 ambulances.
Oh, that's right, because they gotta have another one standby.
They'd have to have more people.
Well, couldn't the volunteer be standby?
The volunteers could already be called out, but it sounds like they weren't.
Well, it took 5 hours.
Yeah, it's. Well, let's
That's a long time. for
look
a
into,
patient.
That's why the hospital, when they want to transfer, they're gonna have to try to get their own ambulance so they can transfer stuff.
I think sometimes they do use Anaconda or Missoula, but they weren't available either that day.
yeah, we gotta find
The
out
best
something.
we can.
Yeah.
If
No
you could
authority.
send a letter or some kind of official correspondence to them to encourage them to take the interfacility transports, I'd greatly appreciate it.
You guys call, or you have them come in, or have a Jen and I call.
Yeah, let's do a letter. Put on next week.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Dick.
I have 2 questions. excuse me, one on the financial report, the comparison of fiscal 2021 and fiscal 2022, they have a negative cost applied. How do they arrive at a negative cost?
Hey, can you give me a page number?
I don't have the document in front of me. It's the annual fiscal comparison. It's I don't know, 10 or 11, somewhere in there.
Is that the KPI results compared to prior year?
Well, it's
Be
the
like page
comparison
three.
of the fiscal 2021 and fiscal 21, 22.
Let me see if I can get to,
Page 3, KPI results compared to prior year.
Well, I don't know. You can give me a call and let me know on that. The other question that I have concerns the statistics that are being developed for the COVID-19 virus. I guess are the public agencies and the medical centers trying to make a difference between those that died of from the virus, that died with the virus, by just saying those that had the virus, it just kind of overstates the death certificates. Is there an autopsy provided for those that actually died of the from the virus? And is that the figures that you report to the CDC?
okay, I'll just clarify that we have not had any patients pass away here from COVID, with COVID or because of COVID. So I don't have those numbers, and I don't report, so I haven't reported any deaths from here, but the general numbers are the ones that I get off the Montana response map, that keeps track of the statewide activity for positive cases, hospitalizations, deaths. That's sort of sent in from all over the state, but we've not had any deaths within our facility. But I think what you're looking for is, do they differentiate that out? And do we know if autopsies were done so that was the true cause of death? Differentiating between cause of death and someone who passed away, you say perhaps from a heart attack or a stroke that was that could have been unrelated to their COVID diagnosis. I don't think they separate those out, Dick, at all. I think if someone has COVID and they pass away, they count that as a COVID death. So I get what you're saying, and what you're asking is that those numbers could be slightly skewed. And I definitely see that point, because they don't differentiate that out. And not always are autopsies done. I mean, that would be by the permission of the family. Does that answer your question? Or did I miss a part of it?
I'm sorry, I was muted, so it was hard for me to make any kind of an explanation. But effectively, we're saying that a certain degree the statistics may have been skewed in the past, and the cause of death may have been misstated, and the statistics may have been misstated.
Okay, thanks, everybody. We're gonna move on.
Why don't you let her answer?
Yeah, I do see what you're saying, because all of the statewide hospitals or facilities and everywhere report to the state on COVID deaths. And I believe you are correct in that anyone with COVID who passes away is counted as a COVID death.
He's also going beyond the
No,
scope of your,
no.
what the
And one
agenda
thing, if you test positive and you pass away, your death certificate's going to say COVID because you tested positive. Unless there is an autopsy done, and they don't do autopsies unless it's requested by the family.
Well, that'd be something they bring up to the
Yeah, and that
hospital,
isn't,
not
that
to do
isn't
with
anything to do with the hospital, I would say.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Maria.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Okay, we gotta move on to road crew employees' wage during union mediation. How many
Let me
people?
give some background on it. So we originally had mediation set up for next Tuesday from 1 to 5. We didn't think it would take that long, but it set up from 1 to 5.
I thought it was 24th.
Yeah, 24.
Sorry, the next
week
week is,
is
I, it's like, sorry, thanks for correcting. The mediator reached out and said, well, actually, the union did, said, are we gonna get paid for this or not? And I said, well, that, the commission has said that's gonna be a negotiation point. So the union had CC'd the mediator came back and said, well, should let them know whether it's upfront, if it's gonna be paid or not, so that we can have mediation after 5 if it's not gonna be paid. Meantime, I think Sarah's looking into some, they're still arguing the past practice to see if, back when the union first started, the county was paying out the first few years. Because the last several years, county was paying because it was, well, as you know. It's commission's decision on whether their mediation, the 2 employees mediation time will be paid or not for the 24th.
I would like to make the motion that they do not get paid. They come in after 5, and that it could be in one of the, could be future benefit if they would like to get paid for negotiation.
Negotiation point.
I think right now, because there is documentation that we have that they didn't get paid. Or if they did, they didn't put it correctly on their time card. So we have no proof that they were paid for union negotiations.
Yeah, but I don't see what's wrong with paying them 2 people for 4 hours. If you come in and negotiate.
If you did, you should say, I would encourage you to say it for this time only, but.
Yeah, for this time only. We could negotiate it for the future.
I'm saying out of for or against, because I don't have you guys.
I don't know. I don't think it's that big a thing to fight over.
Is negotiating after 5 an issue for you, Scott, or
What's that?
negotiating after 5 PM an issue for you, or?
Not really. That's what the problem is. And but we did pay him before, we could never.
They're saying that when Mike Braw was, but we're looking into that.
Well, before we make a decision, we should see whether we did or not, right?
So, maybe it goes through.
Don't you think before a guy makes a decision on whether we gave or nay? Seems like the more we give, the more they want. Me.
Well, I'm thinking because it could be a new negotiation to get paid. We have no documentation that it has been paid, that it should be after 5.
So
And
Mike Braw was putting it down and was being paid, I guess, for how long was that?
There were a couple of them that I found, but he always specifically wrote down negotiations on it. And so if anybody else was going to any of the meetings, they were
It was
getting
always
paid,
him
but
and
they
John.
weren't writing it down, and it went on for maybe a year or so.
and that was when?
Back in like 2011 or so, I had all the copies of everything. I thought I gave it to somebody that I don't know.
So the,
But
if it was
but what I
a year,
did-
that would be.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be established practice 1 year, but if it was longer than that.
But what I did was I looked in our reports here at what everybody else was doing on those same days or in that month, and nobody was writing that down. And then after Mike was gone, there wasn't
any
wasn't
written down.
no written
Not-
downs. So
So by their time cards, they did not get paid for negotiation. meetings,
correct, correct.
Which is
By their time
documented.
cards.
By their
Or-
time cards.
Right. You know, they.
That's documented.
Yeah, I mean, right, they got regular hours for the hours that they
Yeah.
put in. If they'd been to any meetings, they weren't putting it down that that's what was going on. And so,
I don't think a year is, if it was a year, that's not creating a established practice. That was 1 year, but,
Well,
I
he
think it's
can't,
your guys' discretion.
I don't know if why would he be using Mike? Because he can't use anybody else, because nobody else is putting it on their time card.
Well, you were saying that it was done for a long time then, so then that established a practice, but the 1 year, that's not.
Yeah.
that's not-
it's,
1 year is not.
however long, yeah, I can go backwards again. 'Cause I had
You gave me since, I don't know if Mike, I'll double check if Mike was on. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was, I mean, it was just
Okay.
specifically that I was looking for Mike, and that was.
Or I
that
make
was
a
it.
decision, let's just table it for next week, we still got another week.
Okay.
I mean, that way we know, because this can work against us or help us, I think. Some of this mediation.
All right.
Well, I think we gave it to them one time, you know, and it said, we're gonna negotiate for the rest. I mean, that would help us, wouldn't it?
That's reasonable.
That's what I'm saying, that might help us better.
But
So you want
Do
to
what
table?
now?
Yeah, just table it for next week before we make a decision on it, like we can make it next week and find out for sure, because I think it could actually help us. I want make
To
sure-
pay them
Or not,
or not.
that
pay
way
'em.
we have a proof of it.
So how are we gonna know next week?
they'll have it, yeah. I'll
She
put-
says she has some, she just don't know where she put it, so once she gets it, then let's just table it. Next,
It might have been given some of the stuff I had, so I'll look through my file.
So when did they join the union? What year?
you know, way back in Susie's time.
Okay, we got a couple of comments. Wayne?
Yeah. Hey, just a comment, guys. Thanks for updating this important information. On a federal level, there is no mandate, no requirement to pay union officials for negotiations. I mean, that's standard practice. So just to give you a feel on how things are typically done on a national level. So you can take that for whatever it's worth.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, I agree. That's your guys' discretion, unless the established practice was,
Hmm.
unless it was established practice.
Will you ask Lee what his last name?
Dick?
Wayne, Gail. AJ.
Dick?
For the record, the negotiations must have been held in secret. According to the open meeting laws, they're supposed to be open and the public is supposed to have access to that and be able to participate in those meetings. But there was no public participation. And so I think the whole negotiation should be restarted and opened up to the public. Thank you.
But the negotiations this past year have been noticed on the agenda. I'm not sure what timeframe it's on, but this year and last year or 2 years ago were on the agenda as well. The mediation will need to be on the agenda.
Okay, we're tabled and I guess we're adjourned for lunch. This is a time for Trout Creek Ranch subdivision. A proposed 5-lot minor subdivision.
So this is a 5-lot minor subdivision. It's
You want
our-
to get the mic?
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't hear
Do
you
you want
on
to
Zoom.
sit here?
Do you want to sit here?
Does he want me sitting there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You want me to spray you with something?
Well, I know that he's really, he's very picky.
You didn't spray
Oh,
me.
I saw it.
Scott, Vicky, I don't know.
Okay, so
This is a 5-lot subdivision, so 319 acres out on Trout Creek. And Ken Jenkins is here, he's representing the developer. And then there's a few members from the adjoining property owners primarily that are here as well. So it's 5 lots. One of the things that the large majority of this that we talked about at the planning board, and they spent like 3-4 hours on it all total combined, was agricultural purposes, for ag purposes. And so I'm going to skip forward to the ag stuff, if you don't mind, which is starts on page 3. And specifically the ag water facilities. So the last time that the planning board met, they made a couple of minor changes to the ag water users. They removed one condition regarding fencing off ditches. But that was really the only significant change that they made to the ag water facilities. And you'll see that in the back there, there's like, gosh, almost 8 conditions or so that deal just with agricultural water and agriculture. So they do have to, mark all of the irrigation ditches on the plat. There's one of them that's missing. That one will still have to come on before final plat. And then there's a riparian area that covers part of one of the ditches and kind of Trout Creek itself. And then there's a big state ditch that goes through, and there's some portions they'll have to add to that for wasteways and things that they didn't have on there. So the wasteways didn't show up and the head gates aren't showing up on there. Those will all be added. Those are all conditions to be added for this subdivision. And then as far as, let me just go back to the conditions. Look at them. Oh.
That could be Commissioner Albert.
Commissioner's office.
Hey, Glenn Scott.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay. So if you go to your conditions, we'll just go through those. And it's on, they start on page 12. The first 5 of them. So the first 4 are kind of standard conditions that we add for every subdivision. The 5th one just notes that anything that we ask to go into covenants goes into a section called Granite County Required Covenants. And then those covenants are enforceable by the county. So number 6 that's there, this is, so they are allowed 1 future split per lot. So that means each lot gets 1 additional split. They do have to still go through subdivision to get that split, but not so, like, they can't divide it down to just 5-acre lots. They can have 1 more 5-acre lot that they can split out from each of the 5 tracts. So a total build out, assuming each of them split 1 more time, you're looking at 10 lots, and then that's it. They can't. The rest of that then is then in a covenant that Granite County won't allow to split any further. So
so each lot is how big?
The lots range from size 20 acres to 20, there's a 20. Can do a 5-acre or bigger. So the lot.
It has to be at least 5 acres.
At least 5 acres, but yeah, and they get 1, and then they're done,
So if they had 20 acres and they wanted to split in half.
They could do that, but they still have to come back through subdivision.
Right, through subdivision, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, and then once they get their 2 10 acres, they're done for that particular lot. They can't split anymore.
What about the fire suppression on that?
So we, on here, they have a 50-foot setback from everything except for where it goes around track 3, which is where the Christensen's, where their primary ranch buildings and things are, which is at the bottom of the plat there. You'll see track 3 COS 969, it's 100 feet there going around them, but then everywhere else it's 50 feet setback for fire. And they'll still have to supply a letter from the Flint Creek Fire Service area saying that they're in compliance with them, but the fire service area does have a building right there on the property. But yeah, they still have to comply with whatever the fire department wants.
On the property or adjacent to the subdivision?
Yeah, the subdivision surrounds it, so yeah, but it's adjacent to it. So 100-foot setback off Trout Creek, which is pretty much in that riparian. We're asking for no driveways to cross Trout Creek. They'll have to get DEQ, or actually in this case, since all the lots are 20 acres or bigger, they'll get DEQ approval from Chad. So Chad is who will do the review for this subdivision. We have 15, which condition 15 notes that they have to put on the spring, which it's called the Lund Spring, which the Christensen family owns. That will have to show up on the plat, and then it's sitting within that 100-foot setback, so it should be protected, but if necessary, they have to put an additional setback there. Weed abatement will be reviewed by the Granite County Weed Coordinator. You'll get a letter from him, and we have comments that will go to him as well once this is done. For roads, if you look on your plat there, you'll see that the lots 1 and 2 have a shared access driveway.
What page is it?
It's the map here. Let me just pick one.
Thank you.
It'll be much
Because I was going.
Does anybody else need a map? Okay.
Okay.
I just want to answer.
Oh. Commissioner's office.
I'm back listening, it shut off.
Okay.
So lots 1 and 2 are going to have a shared driveway. That driveway has to be approved by the Montana Department of Highways. And they cannot start, or they cannot make the connection into the highway until they get that approved permit from the highway department. So that will service lots 1 and 2. And then lot 5 will have its own approach off of the highway. And then lots 3 and 4, which are the 2 big ones, they will access off of the Trout Creek Road. Let's see. 22 is a note that's for the covenants as well. That's just letting future property owners know that if they go to subdivide, they will more than likely have to do upgrades to roads. So once they go to subdivide again, they're gonna have to do road upgrades, and that could entail road upgrades to Trout Creek or just road upgrades on the shared access. It depends on where they would look to divide again. And then for ag, there's a lot of notes in here regarding the irrigation ditches and just that so one of the main gist of the covenants is that they can't impede the flow of the water for the irrigation users. The irrigation users get the right to go in without noticing property owners that they need to go in and open the head gates, or they need to go in and maintain, or whatever they're needing to do. If they go if they want to put a driveway for lots 3 and 4 over that state ditch, they're gonna have to get the water users, irrigators to approve a permit essentially through them to allow for that to go over. Otherwise, they're gonna end up having to build somewhere where they won't need to cross that irrigation ditch. And then we just have the notes about them locating the head gates so people know where they're at. And the wastewater, the wasteways, which flood out, sometimes they need to flood those things out. We have right to farm language, it's gone in. And then just the wildlife friendly fencing that means that will go around the perimeters of the subdivision itself. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. If you have questions or.
Yeah, a couple.
Mhm.
On the fencing, on the perimeter fences for the adjacent ranches. I live just beyond there, Lost Sapphire, and I think that people ought to know to buy these or own this new subdivision, that they have to keep the fences up too. It's not just up to the ranchers. And because like where I live, most people won't do it. And so I have to go over there and fix up the fence. It's not even my land. And so I think there should be something in there that says they're aware that those, fences belong to everybody, but you can't just expect, the elk are out. In fact, they're out of my place right now, knocking down the fences. They did it this morning. And it's a never ending job. Another concern I had, since I live in Lost Sapphire, and a big bunch of contention is roads. And if there's no road agreement, I don't know if that's what you guys want or not, but I mean, a lot of people will let a certain one person do all the road maintenance, all snow plowing, and it's not right. And but that's between them, I guess.
Yeah, we had put it in there, and both parties wanted it to be a private road without the maintenance agreement, so the planning board actually struck that out of there, based on the wishes of the developer and the surrounding property owners that use Trout Creek.
You're right, though, that happens in a lot of these subdivisions. Up in Georgetown, it's happening where there's,
Oh, it can get hot. I mean, and then one person will end up doing all the maintenance. And then
Yeah, please ask your question along those lines. I
if
guess.
you want to talk, could you come up here and get the microphone and state your name for the people on Zoom?
I'm Josh Christensen. My brother and I
Oh, okay.
have the ranch, the Christensen Ranch adjacent to it. So I guess as far as the road goes, I think you do bring up a good point. And originally in the subdivision planning, it said something about it being a public road, and we misunderstood that as a road to be open to the general public, which we don't really care except for be a road to nowhere. It just dead ends. But we do actively do block management, and we want hunters to be able to access our land in accordance with our contract with Fish, Wildlife and Park and Park. So I think some sort of consideration of it, road maintenance is reasonable. The other thing that occurred to us after the planning board meeting is that depending how they subdivide this, they may put 5 or 6 cross fences across the road. And in our family, there's a child that's in a wheelchair, and if they put multiple gates across, and God forbid an ambulance or fire truck has to show up and they've got to open 5 or 6 gates, that could be a burden. As likewise, it would discourage hunters from coming in and utilizing the block management. So we're not opposed to sort of some reconsideration of some sort of road agreement or something. I just don't want us in a situation where we've got 7 gates to open or, you know, cattle guards that were poorly placed that are crushed in or something like that.
Yeah, that's not up to us. That'd be
Oh, you
between
could-
them.
Yeah, I think you could put that on there,
Oh,
and they
okay.
want to reconsider putting that, yeah, the requirement back on. Is that what you're encouraging, Josh?
Yeah, and I don't understand enough about it to know what it we maintained it, we put dump truck loads of gravel when we needed, et cetera, because Mungus would just use it for, you know, ranch access.
I think it'd be simple, but I mean, it could be, yeah, I think especially if you're concerned on the person in the wheelchair. So your thoughts on that, Linda?
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely go back in. The way we had it in before was just that, that the property owners had to work together to come up with a mutual, satisfied agreement. And we just left it at that because then they can kind of address what they need.
I think that would solve that issue.
Yeah.
Hi, for the record, Ken Jenkins with Montana Northwest. One of the reasons that we kind of pushed, and I think so did Christensen's, what is in place right now, that is a private road easement. It originated with Mungus and Christensen's. And it is an easement that runs with the land. And so it really boils down to any issues to do with that road is a private matter between 2 parties as it now stands. Our subdivision is not utilizing the road as primary access to any of the lots, other than the first couple hundred feet right in front of the fire station. Once you're beyond that, it's a function of where they choose to build. So in my mind, if it's not a necessity of use for the proposed subdivision, it's inappropriate for the county to be interjecting into what is now a private easement between 2 private parties. I think it would be best to leave the private parties to work things out. The question was raised about future subdivisions and having 7 fences across the road. As the subdivision that is before you today is drawn up, there is not a single lot line that crosses that road from the highway to Christensen's ranch. And so I suppose depending if any of, in the future, if any of these lots are divided again, I suppose you could have lot lines crossing that road. That would be the time to address that, because those would have to go back through subdivision review. And the use of that road would be part of that review.
Yes.
Any comments?
One of the things, school bus, I'm sorry, it's Josh Christensen again, the school bus does turn around to help Gus, the child, load on the bus. They have to come in that road a little bit by the fire station. And the bus turns around it because he needs wheelchair accessible ability to get on the school bus.
I have a comment. My concern is that also, I'm Sarah Christensen, is a precedent set, so if people do.
What was your
buy-
name?
Sarah Christensen.
Oh, okay.
There's a precedent set, so if we don't have it kind of figured out in advance what the road, the definition of the road is, people who may be coming in from out of state, who are not accustomed to how we've all been able to neighbor up and get along, then it might cause for future conflicts. So could we prevent a future conflict by setting some type of expectation? Because, you know, we've been here for a long time, we've been good neighbors, and we're not stopping the subdivision, but also we want to make sure that we can continue to do what we've been doing for 117 years. And this is a concern that we have with this new subdivision, because they also might find drifting snow and certain aspects of where they're putting in roads may not work. And so, you know, they don't have it hammered out yet. And so that may impact us.
Blaine?
I was just gonna say, I mean, I think the commission can put that condition on there, it's reasonable. I disagree with Ken's legal analysis. Why not take care of the problem here before it becomes a problem? So I think there's a good argument. I'm not pushing either way. I'm just saying the commission can put that as a condition. I think it resolves that issue.
So what could we put on there?
The way that that we put it on last time, it just said that the two parties will, before final plat, they have to come up with a mutually agreed upon road maintenance agreement. That was it. We just left it wide open at that.
Could say something like both parties acting in good faith or something like that. I think that gotta act in good faith, but assuming they will, not assuming they won't.
Any
other
other comments on that?
Can I give one more, some advice to you? 2 talks about all required improvements shall be completed in place of the subdivision improvements agreement. With our litigation with Rising Sun over subdivision improvements agreements, I can tell you, I personally don't like them. I'm not gonna ever advise the commission to enter into them again. So we went on for litigation with years and years. We finally got hopefully a resolution to it in court, but my advice is not to, unless there's real limited condition number 2. And it's not, I don't read that as saying you're gonna allow it, condition number 2. But
it's on 12 of 15.
yeah,
At
sorry,
the
top
very
of
top.
12. And it doesn't say the county commission will agree to subdivision improvements agreement. I'm just not a fan of them after having to litigate certain issues here over the years.
So we should take that out.
I guess mine was kind of a side issue there that probably for a future time, but I don't advocate for them.
Anything else on that subject? Okay, just as a note about endangered species, I don't know if they were down there, but I live, a mile south of that, and I've seen 1 grizzly bear and 2 grizzly beds in my land. So, but I don't know if they're down there or not. Just wanted to mention it. And then for my own satisfaction, what's a wildlife fence? What's satisfactory for a wildlife fence?
So usually they're the 3. You want to go ahead and answer that, Ken?
Well, it occurred to me for the first time that's been in these conditions of approval since day 1, and it says perimeter fencing shall be wildlife friendly. Well, a good deal of the perimeter fencing is actually Christensen's fence, and I just wondered what their thoughts are about that. They're keeping in cows, and I just kind of wonder if, that sounds good, but I'm not sure wildlife friendly fencing. I'm not really sure what that means. Smooth wire, low wire.
I've heard all sorts of definitions. High tensile, post further apart, smooth wire, barbed wire. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the definition of wildlife friendly would be.
My suggestion would be to get rid of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
Would be what?
Get rid of the friendly wildlife fence. If we can keep cows in, I don't know how it's friendly to wildlife.
They can run right through it.
Or okay, that's
So, okay, so you want to strike 31 then and just replace it with upkeep of perimeter fence is the responsibility of all property owners, both existing and new, and just leave it at that.
I think so.
Is that as a covenant statement? Are you good with that, Ken?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
And then on 32, which, do you want to add one that says both parties acting in good faith shall present a mutually agreed upon road users agreement? And I'll put for Trout Creek.
you think so?
I'd like to see it, but I don't know.
Could you state that again, Linda? if you
Uh-huh.
read this question?
So both parties acting in good faith shall present a mutually agreed upon road users agreement for Trout Creek. Trout Creek Lane, is it Lane? Road? Whatever it's called, I'll get the right name on there.
It's Lane.
Is it Lane? Okay.
Who's that at?
That's the main road coming in right by the little square
Oh,
that's cut
okay.
out. And then it doesn't show up on the plat. That's one of the things they have to get on the plat a little better. But it runs along that property line. And then it goes, it essentially follows the ditch, the state users ditch there. Till it gets up to Christensen's and crosses a bridge right there.
So, any other comments then? Any Zoom comments? So what do we do? Approve it with those conditions or?
Yep, you can approve with the conditions as amended. And then they'll have their 3 years starting from today to start.
How
To
long?
get 3 years is what state law gives them
Hmm.
to get their work done. And bring back final plat. And
So you
Ken,
could, accept a motion on that.
you're good with the
Okay.
conditions?
I don't like the road maintenance. It's a private easement, it's already in place, that's all spelled out how private easements work. And it's not a necessity of the subdivision, has nothing to do with the subdivision, it's a private road. I guess the attorneys for both sides can get together and draw something up, and we'll see what it looks like, but
What do you guys think?
It hadn't occurred to me that there'd be problems down the road, but after hearing what you had to say about the road issues, right now where there's, if, there are only a couple people there, I don't foresee it being a problem, but if it's ultimately, 5, 6 different people, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
So you foresee if there's 5 or 6 different people, it could be a problem.
It's possible, but then if they, I guess I haven't thought on it long enough. I guess if, Ken brought up a good point that currently there's no fences across the road, so there wouldn't be, and if they wanted to cut it up so there would be a parcel across the road, it would have to come back to planning, and at that point we could address it. I think that's reasonable. The area for the school bus to turn around, I think would be, it's kind of already there, and the easement is a 60-foot wide easement. So I think that's.
and I would say that, we've got some mapping to do, like the ditch overflow area. We've got, we can map where they're turning around. I have no problem turning that into an easement if we have to widen things out.
Okay, and so and some, it would have to come back if there was issues with, adding more subdivision crossings. So, and then if the easement's wide enough, I think the area for the school bus, we could make that work without a lot of issues.
What's the expectation with snow?
Snow removal, I guess would be, whoever, where we live the furthest in, for all these years, we plowed snow. And if no one else is in there, I don't think it'd be fair for me to expect them to plow snow if nobody's there. So I wouldn't expect, if they're living there.
Well, what
if
the
they have
problem,
an empty house.
the problem I have is, people come in and if the wind blows and it's snowing, drifting snow, if you plow it wrong, you made a big mess. I mean, you're gonna catch a ton of snow. So, just me, I'd like to see, if I was gonna do it, have an agreement saying, hey, the snow is gonna be plowed a certain way, and you guys know how to do that. You've done it for 117 years. And the drainage, You know, I mean, there's people that will not do drainage. They won't go out there and do a water bar, and then they'll just rut the road.
I think and that's advocating needing that condition, because they'll prevent future disputes.
So Ken, you're saying that you're against it because it is a private easement.
It's a
Is
private
that what you're
easement.
saying?
It's a private easement. It's not a road that is a product of the proposed subdivision. It's already there. It's a private.
It's already there.
And in my mind, it just seems to me like the county's sort of getting themselves sticking their nose into a private easement between two private parties.
But there's also, it's a subdivision now. It's going
It
to be.
is, but
Yeah.
the road is not a necessity of the subdivision. It's not a,
But it probably will be in the future.
if there's a resplit,
Yeah.
then
Which-
it's going to probably come up, you're right. Which I'd just say address it at that time, but
I think-
I'm not, you know, if the consensus is to have a road agreement as part of the final plat conditions, but, you know, that's not the worst thing. We can get it done, probably.
My position is they don't know where the roads are gonna be yet. So based on weather patterns, that can constitute having to come back here and then put something in? Or do we try and address this now? Because if they don't have it already specifically defined, that's where I can see where this point of contention could happen. And so do we have an open dialogue, and maybe until everything's very specifically drawn, then we determine whether we need one or not. But until then, if it's not completed, how can we gauge what we need or what we don't need?
That's why it should be
That's
a
my
condition.
thought process in this.
Okay, I'd kind of like to see an agreement.
Yeah,
Me too.
I would too.
Okay,
What do you think?
I mean, I had it in there to start with, so.
Yeah,
Well,
I've
the
been to the
reason-
road wars.
The reason is
Many
because it's
times.
going to be a subdivision, so that road is going to come into play eventually. So why not fix it now? Am I saying this
Well, yeah,
correctly?
and the thing is, they can tailor it to their
Mhm.
needs, so if right now there's two people and, you know, we don't need a ton of language, that's fine. But at least it's in place so that if it does split again, you know, yeah, then it's already part of the new split, and we retailor it to add another party on. So.
So, and I ask a question real quick, just not being familiar with subdivisions at all, is there like pretty easy boilerplate for what a typical road agreement is? I mean, it's. or is
Could
it
you use the mic again? I can't hear you.
This one, I think you gotta turn off.
I'm sorry, it's Josh Christensen again. I'm just, is there a fairly straightforward template for road agreements, or is this something we're gonna end up having to pay our lawyer a couple grand to
Right.
solve?
No, it's pretty simple, you know, I think, you know, it's like drainage and water bars and not, you know, and whatever. You know, you could do it.
And they already
It's
have a template that they use for the shared driveways. So, I mean, you could even pull, you know, their attorneys already have that sort of as a boilerplate that they put in their application. And that's online as well, as part of their application. But
The road as it currently exists suffices for our purposes. It's a ranch road. You're not gonna get a Porsche down it, but you can get it, you know, you can get a minivan down it, having done it many a time. So, I guess the only concern I have with the road agreement is it might get us into having to pay a lot of money to upgrade a road that we don't need it upgraded.
It's a two-way street, that's true.
Yeah, so that's, and I just don't know, not being familiar with this. I hadn't really thought on this that much.
No, it's up to you. I mean,
ultimately, if it's something that you guys discuss and you want it taken back off, you can approach the commission to do an amendment of the subdivision to pull the condition back off. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it really is up to the two parties. If you guys don't want it, then we can take it back out.
Linda, are you making this a condition of final plat approval or?
Yeah, it would be a
Okay.
condition of final plat.
So once this is approved, we're going to want to record this plat soon. And so this would all have to happen.
I mean, if you think we can come up with a pretty easy road agreement, I'm not opposed. I mean, it would be something in my mind as simple as currently the road is, you know, plowed by us, maintained as us, and then whatever you guys use of it, then
So
whatever
that-
additional
this-
upgrades you need, you add, and, you know, that would be my thought. And that, I think it'd be pretty straightforward
Yeah, I think somebody just needs to write.
to write it up, okay. Cause I don't wanna delay the plat for forever doing it either, but I also don't, I hadn't thought of it, I guess.
Okay, so
Thank you.
I'm confused.
So I guess to clarify, probably with the road agreement, we'll come up with one, and if we find that we just can't make it work, then we could approach. But I think we could probably come up with a pretty simple one. At least on our end, we don't need much. We got a road that works, and other than you dump truckloads of gravel every couple of years and pushing a lot of snow, we don't do much with road maintenance. Really doesn't require it. Would you say that's fair, Joel? Yeah.
So make a motion to approve the subdivision with the conditions discussed.
Okay, I'll second it
Conditions as amended.
as amended,
As amended.
conditions as amended.
You seconded?
I second.
Any public comment? Seeing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Got it.
Okay. I will send you down the thing as soon as I get it fixed and amended.
Thank you, Linda.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
How's it going?
Yeah. Can I ask?
Good research.
Questions?
I know that subject real well.
What's that?
May I ask a few questions about subdivisions and just things of that nature? Is this okay or no,
Sure.
or what, how does this work? I
Do
don't wanna.
do we have to be on Zoom for this or?
Yeah, if you're gonna talk to her, I would.
Okay.
Well, I'll just, so the rumor is they're subdividing Warnson's place and there's already a ton of roads and things being put in. And so my curiosity is, okay, this is going through the process. We're concerned about agricultural land because the idea is they're high-end homes that are going in Warnson's place. And that, how does that affect all of the families that are already existing in agriculture that are holding on? One, it's gonna increase land prices.
So one thing they can't talk about
They can't-
you can't talk about the future.
Okay, so they can go through and start putting in all the infrastructure before they're even
Well-
applying for anything?
What I do is, you can sit down with Linda and I.
Okay.
Versus the commission.
Okay, because I'm just curious about the long-term
yeah.
implications as to how do we start a community awareness? Because if somebody who's made hundreds of millions of dollars of subdividing California, I think that we are not, I think we'd be fools thinking that that's not gonna happen here. And it's already finding that it's hard to hold on to family ranges, and then if property taxes go up, land values go up, how do you continue moving that to the next generation? And rumor is that it's happening on Warnson's Ranch, and so how do we get a community dialogue? Because it's all like hearsay or, you know, nobody can talk about it, but that's going to impact us. It's gonna impact our water, and then also
Well, it's
migration
just
about.
the commission can't talk, the public
Okay.
community can talk about it, so,
Okay.
but, you come in and talk with Linda and I here, your convenience and we.
Can we
reach out.
schedule, can
Yeah.
we do it now, or are you?
I've got a few things that, We do another, yeah, any other day that works.
Well, we're coming up from Lola and we've got a
Okay.
5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old. So sometimes it's hard to get away, but
Linda might be able to chat with her.
oh, she said nothing has been brought to the planning board.
No, I haven't heard anything. I mean, the thing is that they could do 160. That's just allowed with that state law.
And if that is the long-term, do we not have any say on how that influences everybody else, or? Because I mean, it's happening, you go out there, you see it being cut in, and so it's happening.
That would be for the state legislature.
I want to ask a question about that, because I was in here a couple of weeks ago for that Red Lion Road meeting. And I specifically asked about, did you have to have permits to get from a county or state road onto your property? And you guys all said yes. Well, they're out there and already got a road cut in. Have they not come and got a permit to do that?
They're coming off the county road.
Yes.
We just have to talk to
Yeah, they are.
Paul, but yeah,
That's
they
right.
need a encroachment permit. to do
Well, they've already got a big road cut in out there and all that, but they didn't come and get a permit. Weren't they supposed to get a permit?
that. They should, we should send Paul Hall to the.
So which place you talking about?
Lawrence's
yeah.
place. It's because they're the same, these are the same guys. They're running in front of us and now they're over there, but I mean, you know, fair is fair.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they gotta follow the encroachment.
Yeah.
law.
And so how do we start though, putting this together? I mean, I understand talking to the legislature, we called Sweeney, he proctored the deal, he immediately called the gentleman and told him that we called him. So we're kind of starting to limit on our resources, but I think that there can be major implications here if we don't have this off, because you know, we've never at any point had a billionaire developer come and start taking note of a community and start immediately buy it and start chunking it up. You know, we've had millionaires buy land and then try to ranch, but this is a different ballgame, and I think that something has to have a greater dialogue, because you know, like the Blackfoot watershed has hit drought conditions by 15 of the last 21 years. Is there any expectation of these unregulated wells that are gonna reduce the main available water resource and then also move elk onto areas that aren't developed?
But any subdivision application goes to the planning board, and there's public meetings on it, but prior to that, it'd be, you know, what the community decides.
How would that be where the community decides? Like,
Our community can, I shouldn't say decide, gets together and has their, whatever, their forums or whatever, they can have their own.
So they know that they have to get an encroachment permit. They're told that, these developers off the county road.
Well, I mean, in this particular case, he wouldn't have come to see me because
He's just doing the road.
Go through Paul.
doing roads.
I would advise you not
And
to,
Paul should see this, though, that.
no, I wouldn't talk about it
Yeah.
anymore and have Paul.
I'm just wondering if there wasn't an approach there already. I'm trying to think.
Commissioner Hinkle, I wouldn't talk about this anymore,
Okay.
I'd send Paul out, yeah, before having some on the public meeting.
okay, well, thank you for your time. We're concerned, and I think that a greater dialogue needs to be talked about as to the implications of what's happening, because if also somebody gets tired of ranching, you're gonna make a lot more money subdividing it and,
Yep.
you know, putting your hat on as a cowboy, you know.
But that's state legislature. issues right
Yes,
there,
yes, and we have been calling, but maybe as a collective
yeah.
community.
Yeah,
All right, thank you for your time, Commissioners.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
thanks. Right. Sorry to cut you off there, but I think talking about
Well, I saw your name.
potential violation of law.
I mean, I can go out, I can go off. Okay, now is the time for reappointments, and appointments to county boards. Discussion and decision. We got Thomas Sanders for planning board. That's a reappointment. We'll make a motion. Do we have to do them
Can
separately?
we do it at the end or
Yeah, last week you guys just read them all and then. did
read them
one
all and then
motion
we made a
together.
motion?
No, okay. And then we have Vicky Weaver for the weed board.
She's a reappointment.
And then we have a new appointment, Joel Christensen for the Phillipsburg Cemetery.
Okay,
It's all good.
yeah,
I'll make a motion to accept all of them.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye. Public comment. Too late.
yeah, I think the cemetery board's been lacking
Yeah, it's a good one.
full for a long time. Need some new blood in there.
I know.
The cemetery board needs new blood.
Yeah,
Elena has a public comment.
Elena.
Elena,
Okay, now, are you gonna be doing this every week until all the positions are filled?
No, I don't know. I had it on there last week and this week, because most of the positions that were up for reappointment expired on October 2nd. So it's up to the commission, I guess, if you want me to. We still have a lot of
How many
open
positions are still open? Quite a
There's
few.
quite a few. I would maybe, I don't know if, and we're gonna have the county health board that I need to advertise. I don't know if you guys want me to run it in an advertisement again and then maybe wait 2 weeks and then we can put it on twice again. Or,
The ad that was in the mail for 2 weeks, I counted them. There are 33 positions, according to the Phillipsburg Mail. You had 9 filled last week, and now you had, what, 2, 3 filled this week? And then wasn't there supposed to also be a ad in the paper for that Flint Creek Dam Advisory Committee?
yes, it should be in this week's paper.
It's going to be in this week's paper. It's a little bit confusing for the public. And now there's FMAC also, of which I'm a member, and they haven't met for, I don't know how long. And I think the people that are on that, where it was only for a year, so that's up too. You wonder about all the other committees and advisory boards. Thank you.
Okay, so what she's suggesting is that we run the ad in the paper, tell all positions are filled. Which could go on for a long
Forever.
time, yeah.
I mean, I think,
I think we ought to stop and take a look at it. Then redo it once.
yeah. Gonna give it like a break for, I'll run like the county.
So do the ones that,
I can run the one for the Board of Health. 'cause that
Board of
one's
Health.
new.
is that just a new opening?
And then maybe we'll give it like a 2-week break and then we'll revisit the topic again.
That sounds good.
And then for she mentioned the FMAT, in Mike's notes, it said that there was no term set for any of the people on that committee.
I thought there was, but I didn't even know if that committee is gonna do anything.
I reached out to, who did I reach out to? Hattie Candid, and I never heard back.
Hmm.
And
So
I
who
reached
else
out
is
to
on it?
Someone else.
Bill not
Hmm.
knowing,
Bill
was he
Not
on?
knowing.
Bill on, Heidi's on, Lena. Hmm.
Oh, Elena.
Oh, guy up the lake, forgot his name. Another gal.
You're
Forgot
on
her
the
name.
list.
Did you unmute her? Elena has a question.
Lena,
I think according to our bylaws, we had information on that. And that was somewhere in the minutes. And I thought it said it was a year. And that's about it. And there was something that came across saying, should we have a meeting? And there was controversy about that. And I think you're right to a certain degree, Chuck. I think it's a waste of time. If anything, we should have been a meeting definitely during the fire season discussing what was going on, and we never met. So the whole point was supposedly for for Danes's letter of support regarding the WSA, and we already did it. So I don't see why there's any purpose to the group, but we haven't been meeting, so that's my opinion of it. Thank you.
Well, let's go ahead and start our correspondence. First one we have is about the lake level from Brad. And we went through that with Brad earlier.
So this was.
I just printed you guys a copy this
Oh, okay.
morning and then I'll put it in with the correspondence. But Dave Almond's report was up.
And we have a resignation letter from the Granite County Tax Appeal Board.
And how does the secretary for the tax appeal board work? Is that somebody you guys have appointed? Because she wasn't even on my list for board members. for the tax
Okay, it
appeal board.
isn't, she is appointed and she gets paid. There's a salary and it's, she receives in the tax appeals from taxpayers when they're appealing their taxes, and then she gets it square, or that person gets it squared away, where then when they have the tax appeal board, then the secretary has everything prepared for the board, and there is a pay, they do get paid.
Oh, okay.
It's very, very part-time. Yeah, but that, I guess we'll have to put something out for ad for a secretary for the tax appeal board.
Here's a Granite County Treasurer report.
Granite County Treasurer
What is it?
report.
Do you have those signs say 3 people max in each office?
What's that?
The signs still say 3 people max in each office.
So what do we need to do for that?
Well, I guess if, generally speaking, I would leave it up to each department official to enforce it or not in there, but if you guys don't want people crowding here, I'd say just have it on Zoom for a while, but it's your call.
You keep saying your call.
Commission's call.
I know, that's what I said. You keep saying your call, your call. Yeah,
Well, you know, as long as it's spread out, I mean, I don't care if they're there.
well, should they maybe do masks, or should, if there's more than 3?
You say if you can't social distance in here, wear a mask, you guys can say that. I provide masks.
Yeah,
We
we'd
have
have to,
boxes.
but yeah, that'd be easy enough too.
Here's an email from Susie.
Okay.
There's a Billy's answer to Elena.
Scott was good with everyone on the fly.
Say that again?
Commissioner Adler is fine with everyone who applied on the board. I don't know if you're to do that.
There's a letter from Austin Knutson about opioid settlements.
So the county is included in that class action suit against Purdue Pharmaceutical. So it sounds like there's something we're gonna have to do in the next couple of weeks as far as registering our website. And then there'll be some more information coming on the settlements.
Do we put on the agenda?
Yeah, you can put that on the agenda. I just for 5 minutes. Purdue Pharmaceutical class action.
So is Susie saying we did this motion wrong? On this, because looking at it, watching it, it was brought up, her email was brought up. And maybe we should have read it right at the beginning because it was brought up for this, because she was wanting more clarification of why you and Scott didn't want video. And I did ask Scott why. I told him to clarify from that email that Susie had. So that was right there. And he.
Yeah, you guys had read their, received your email, right?
Yeah, we spoke about it right at the beginning when it was an agenda item. And then we reread the email that when we were in correspondence. So if we handled it incorrectly, I guess you didn't, okay, great. So what's this opioid settlement payments?
Yeah, we got it on the agenda, so we'll talk about it next week. We're part of a lawsuit, I guess.
Where'd this come from?
What is it?
How to fix it?
Oh, this is what she got when she sent the email to
Oh, okay.
that.
So you've addressed it?
Yeah, I don't know if that has something, I thought with the removal of the old site, I didn't think it was gonna affect our email addresses, so I don't know why that info one no longer worked. So I had Eric take that down, because you can still use the contact thing through the directory page. And that works, because I've gotten them and Ben's gotten them. So I know that works, and then you can use the directory page to find people's email and email them directly, that info email, just for some reason.
Yeah, because I saw that too, and I didn't quite understand.
Yeah.
Info wasn't found at co.grant.mt.us.
Yeah, because those used to go to Sarah, and I don't know why it stopped. Okay.
Okay, we're in public comment.
Elena.
Lena?
For what it's worth, I've been saying things all day long, for the record, And I don't know, nothing gets changed. The website is very important. It's public information. It tells the public exactly what our government is doing, the actions, the money that they're spending, our money, and all that good information. The website, every time I look for something, something is wrong with it. And I think I heard you talking about my email that I sent to that address. And it came back that they couldn't connect it. The address is wrong. He just was reading that, Blanche. And so every time I try something, something like that happens. What I suggested a long time ago, since there is a new website, both of them should have been left until everything was transferred from the old site and everything on the new website was working properly. But what happened? Nope, didn't do that. So now one by one, we find mistakes and then not cover up, but correct it. But you just can't correct something by throwing something up and hope it's fixed. This is a government website. There was a letter. The correspondence should be read, opened and read. And then there should be either an actionable or non-actionable response to whatever you read. Put it on the agenda or send a letter thanking or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, this is important information. This is our only place to go for information. And if somebody sends pictures and they expect it to be up part of the discussion for that day, the next day at the commissioners meeting, they expect to see it there so they can discuss it intelligently and the public can follow intelligently. So, I said it once and I'll say it again. Somebody's going to come in, going to get rubbed the wrong way, and it's going to sue this county big time. I've already heard from people. They've contacted me. They can't find anything if I could help them. Well, it's not that easy for me to help them. And this shouldn't be like this. And that's my comment for what it's worth. And instead of becoming more transparent, it's getting worse. I mean, remote viewing and Zoom has been in effect since March of 2020. This should be perfected now in the county. Instead, it's getting worse. Thank you.
Wayne? Wayne?
Yeah, okay, thanks. Hey, thanks for letting me attend today. I appreciate it. I know I've not been a regular attendee for obvious reasons. I've been busy doing all kinds of other things around the United States, but hopefully I'll be able to attend a little bit more. So I appreciate the opportunity. Just a couple observations. Obviously, from my point of view, in business as I am, I spend a lot of time in Zoom meetings. And I echo what Elena has said. I think we can step up a bit and improve the quality of these meetings, whether it's the camera, whether it's the microphone, and also perhaps even considering sharing documents online as we go through them, if that were the case, rather than expecting people to have them in hand. But I know we're evolving, so again, I appreciate the work you're doing. The other comment I want to make is about Georgetown Lake. There is no requirement to gain consensus from the ranchers or the irrigators in regards to the water. It's really our appropriate requirement to advise them if the water is going to be turned down. But certainly it's not our obligation to gain consensus and democratic vote on what they want or what they don't want, because it's not required. In regards to the lake level, I am concerned about it, particularly as low as it is and the amount of water that's coming out of the lake. And, wishing, hoping, dreaming that it's going to rain. Geez, I've been hoping that for the last couple of months. We still haven't seen it. So I really, in this regard, I think we need to take proaction in the regard to the outflow. If it's only 6 coming in and 10 coming out, and even if we did have some rain, it's certainly not going to be additive. So again, just some thought process as we we go through this perhaps every year, and so I think it's worthwhile to put kind of indicator on the calendar that we've got to make some decisions about these things rather than have it be a revelation as it is and appears to be. So anyway. Again, appreciate the work you're doing. No criticism here, just some thoughts on some proaction. So thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
Well, one response to that is that the FERC order does require 15 CFS during the irrigation season. So that's a requirement in the FERC order, or sorry, 30 CFS, correction.
Yeah.
So it's, that's really set for you. So you're right that the irrigators would have to have consensus to change that.
Minutes?
Hmm?
Minutes?
Minutes. I make a motion to approve the board minutes for September 28th, 2021.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
See my email ability on Drummond one. So there was a couple paragraphs that had some boilerplate language on water. projects. So do you mind sending me both of those? Current agreement, and I'll make that change to this Drummond. Phillipsburg.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I was gonna give them their full 10 minutes. I'll accept that. Let's go.
Okay.
So we're gonna adjourn.